Committee, we would like to extend our warm welcome to all and thank you for joining PTNCPI Coffee Talk 2.0 on the topic Professional Lecturer Starts with Research. My name is Aisyah binti Muhammad Yasim and I will be the moderator for this sharing session. The agenda for today start off with opening speech by Yang Berbahagia Prof. Nazib Suratman, Deputy Vice Chancellor Research and Innovation UiTM. Okay, the floor is yours, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Can you hear me clearly, Aisyah?
Yes, loud and clear, Prof.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning to everyone. And thank you to our moderator, Cik Aisyah Muhammad Yasim. Alhamdulillah, I'm very delightful today to be able to gather with all of you virtually to listen to the second forum of Coffee Talk of the Office of Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovations on the topics professional lectures start with research. Please allow me to thank the distinguished panelists who are also the members of UiTM Research Committee, JKIPU, for sparing their precious time to be with us today to share their thoughts and experiences on the chosen topics. Thank you very much Yang Berbahagia Professor Insinyur Teknologis Dr. Muhammad Nasir Taib, the Director of Midtrans. Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zur Khairi Haji Amon, the Dean of Faculty of Health Sciences, UiTM. Yang Berbahagia Professor Dr. Zakia Ahmad, the Deans of Research and Innovations, College of Engineering. And Yang Berberusaha Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan, the Dean of Faculty of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, today's forum is an initiative by the JKIPU Secretariat team for the JKIPU members to get engaged with all participants, and we realize that we can fly together at the greater heights in research and innovation by having effective engagement, communications, and mutual understanding. Ladies and gentlemen, what are the main functions of higher education? The main functions of higher education are predominantly can be divided into twofold. One is as educational establishments, and second as generators of knowledge and technology. As educational establishments, the function is to provide able, self-directed learners that are independent and confident, who will go out to the society and contribute to the society through leaderships or through civic duties. And the university invests research to create and disseminating knowledge that benefit the industry, the government, and society. A lot of the research conducted by the university researchers are used to advise the government and influence the public policy. Needless to say that academic research is an integral part of the global development. In academia, once a research paper is published, other researchers often utilize the findings to support their own work and build on it to improve the body of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, in line with our topic today, the professional lecturers start with research. Now the question is, how do students benefit from the research that lecturers undertake? In the nutshell, the quality of research directly translates to the quality of teaching and learning in the classroom. I would like to share 3 of the ways that the students can benefit. First, when the lecturers are conducting a certain research area, they will become experts on the matters and they share their insights with the students. They are able to explain to them why things work the way they work. They can help the students understand the theory by illustrating it with examples from their experiences. Learning from lecturers who are deeply intellectually involved with a subject by itself an experience, and the depth of the coverage of the subject is far superior. Secondly, while conducting research and publishing articles, lecturers often work very closely with various organizations and companies and have direct access to the decision makers. They get an inside look on what transpired behind the scene and are able to understand the context in which difficult decisions were taken. When lecturers use their own cases and research as teaching aids, classroom discussions become immensely richer and more insightful, and the students are able to uncover nuances that they normally can't get it from just following the textbook. And finally, lecturers involved in research are excited about the areas they explore. They are constantly looking for new ideas and concepts. They welcome questions and debates and like to be challenged by students in the classroom, since it's often open up new lines of thinking. As a student, their learning experience is more involved and enjoyable. Ladies and gentlemen, given the nature of cutting-edge research, it is important that students have access to it quickly enough to reap the benefits. At UiTM, since the curriculum review is done internally by the lecturers themselves or by the resource person, the research can be introduced into the curriculum while it is still fresh and relevant. This helps immensely in achieving our learning outcome. This is something that perhaps we can explore to those students who want to be part of the research process and get first-hand experience. They can work with the faculty and assist them in their research. We would perhaps introduce a credit course. Perhaps we can call it like faculty-initiated research project that can be counted towards credit requirement that students can take up. I'm sure this will be discussed further in these sessions. So on that note, I wish everyone a fruitful and productive forum. Thank you and enjoy, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Yang Berbahagia Prof. Okay, so as Yang Berbahagia Prof ada sebutkan, so experience matters when we want to have a professional lecturer. Okay, so before we start off, let me introduce our panelists for today. Okay, so our first panelist, we have Professor IRTS Dr. Haji Muhammad Nasir Taib, Director of Malaysia Institute of Transport, Mitrans UiTM, Professor Dr. Zulhairi Haji Amum, Dean, Faculty of Health Sciences, UiTM, Professor Dr. Zakiyah Ahmad, Dean of Research and Innovation, College of Engineering, UiTM. And finally, we have Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan, Dean, Faculty of Law, UiTM. For everyone's information, this forum will be divided into 2 sessions with average of 15 minutes of each question, followed by a Q&A session. So do take note and do drop your questions in the pigeonhole in the link provided given. Okay. Education professionals are always learning, finding out things, analyzing information, adapting their behavior according to the information received, looking forward to improve and adapting to new modern demands. Okay, now we have COVID-19 situation and we have what we consider as a new norm situation. Okay, so at the same time, research plays an important role in discovering new knowledge and making sure that we use existing findings in the best possible manner. Research can find answers to unknown things, filling gaps in knowledge and changing new life. Okay? Right, so we will start off with our first panelist for today. I would like to invite Professor IRTS Dr. Haji Muhammad Nasir Taib, Director of Malaysia Institute Transport, Mitrans, UiTM. Okay, so Prof. Hello? Prof, boleh dengar saya?
Yes, I'm listening.
Okay. All right. So, Prof, Mitrans have a very strong history of research excellence in the fields of logistics and supply chain, maritime, intelligent transport systems, highway and traffic engineering. This research experience have definitely elevated and strengthened the professionalism of a lecturer. So, how, in your opinion, how can we strengthen a researcher mission over time, thereby having a positive impact on life and communities?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Aisyah, our moderator and session chair today. Yang berbahagia Prof. Nazik, Timbalan Naib Canselor PNI UiTM, my fellow panel members, Prof. Zukhairi, Prof. Zakia and Prof. Hatini. Alhamdulillah, let me wish Assalamualaikum and good morning everybody. Aisyah, first of all, I'm honored to be on the panel today. Even though it's a surprise, I think all of the panel we were talking this morning is a surprise. But I think, as Prof. Nazik mentioned earlier, to fly high together as a good university, we should be helping each other, promoting betterment in the area of research, and of course, as professional lecturer. But Aisha, allow me, you mentioned Mitran, so let me share. Currently, Mitran, we have a tagline, transporting happiness, delivering success. So we are talking about, even though we are specializing in transportation, logistics and supply chain, especially the halal supply chain, but we are promoting great human resource capital. That means in Mitran, and hopefully we can cascade down this to our colleagues in UiTM and of course to our client. And as you mentioned rightly, of course we are collaborating, working together, delivering our consultation research to many parties, including government agencies, local universities, local institutions, and of course overseas partners. But by being the first speaker, please allow me just to go a bit more basic. I think to do justice, I'm UiTM more than 30 years and in Mitran only one year plus. So let me dwell more on the professional lecturer. The topic of today's session is professional lecturer starts from research or being a researcher. So I think before being professional, we are unprofessional. I think everybody, including myself. So I think rightfully, let me be a bit grateful, and I think we all are very grateful because being a lecturer is a very noble profession. And as a Muslim, I think we are in the footpath of the prophets, of the Anbiya or the Nabi-Nabi and the Salafus Salihin. That means we are promoting the sharing of knowledge and underline that sharing of knowledge, which is more important than the material that we're going to share in the current session. So to me, the basis of my personal endeavors as a lecturer, professional lecturer, and now of course in administration, is actually there's a one quote that I would like to share from the Prophet himself. There's a hadith saying that, you know, the greatest person among you is those who can bring the greatest benefit to many others. And as a lecturer, we can do that, easily do that. And in Bahasa Melayu, university is menara gading. That means we are at the pinnacle of the academic world, where we not only, as the right saying by Prof. Nazik just now, we are not only developing, advancing knowledge, but we are sharing that. We are generating a new knowledge workers, a new people who can develop the country, the nation, and of course the world. So to me, before becoming a professional lecturer, from my perspective as being a lecturer for more than 30 years in UiTM, involving in many things from my younger days until today, to me there are at least four things, four perspectives that we should look at. first and foremost, in fact, for any career at all, first and foremost, we should have the right ambition, the right horizon, perspective, looking over the horizon. That means, if I think our audience today, I should respect our audience as well. I think it's good that many of you joined the session today. But I think if we rightfully choose lecturer as our profession, so, as Steve Jobs mentioned in his life, that, if our job is our hobby, that's fine. But if it's not our hobby, then we would like to stick with it. Then we should turn that into our hobby, because as a hobby, then the job will be something fun, something interesting, something that we like to pursue, not only in our spare time, but all the time. So first of all, we should have the right ambition, the right outlook. So for the audience, the younger one especially, if you think that you are mistakenly being a lecturer now, it's not too late. We can change our perspective, we can change our outlook, make it as our ambition. So that's the first thing. And in fact, when I was the dean, I always share with my student, general student. I mean, the student at the faculty, we have close to 2,000 students. So I met those who attend the session with me, almost 100%, but we have missing here and there because there are sick and whatever. This is not during the pandemic, During the pandemic, there are many other reasons because of the pandemic. So to each of them, I said that, in preparing them to be a good student, Engku Aziz has mentioned that they should follow 4 steps, not plan, but four things. First, they should have in them, they want to be a good student and to graduate. This for student. And then the second one, they should know what is a student, being a student, what the student should do. And the third one, they should plan. And the fourth one, they should also plan for the exam, because for the student, the exam is the most important thing. So those 4 things will produce students who can graduate from university with a good degree, with a good CGPA. Now, coming back to being a lecturer. So for me, the first one is ambition. So if it's not correct, we can correct that. And as I mentioned earlier on, we can do great things as a lecturer. And if every class we have 30 students, and we strive to make sure all of the students got A's, we should be expert enough. I mean, if we are serving UiTM more than 5 years, we should be good enough, mature enough to be a good lecturer in the classroom. That one thing. So the second thing is that once we have our ambition, we correct our past perspective. The second one, we should know the role and responsibilities of lecturer. And generally, over the years, I capture that and even mention many times in strategic plan UiTM, lecturers has 3 major things to contribute. Most and foremost is delivering curriculum in the classroom, assessment, engaging students, etc. So that's academic side of the curriculum. Making sure that we deliver the syllabus in good time, do proper guiding for the student, etc. Then I think the second one, once we know, the second one will be research. In Negara Gading, in the IV, for example, in the university, we should endeavor to do research, because as Prof. Nasib mentioned just now, to fly together, to generate new ideas, to garner new and advance new knowledge, everybody should do research. Even people who are in education, they say, okay, education is not scientific. Of course, there are research on pedagogy, research on student perception, research on ergonomy in the classroom, research on the curriculum design, research on continuous learning mechanism, etc., etc. And now we are in the pandemic area. There are research on ODL. How can we justify student answering their assessment online, etc. So that's the second thing. Research must be done as a lecturer. The third one is our community services, going beyond the university. So those 3 things, we should know the role, our minimum role. So you see that inside there, we cannot leave out research. So that's part and parcel of a component of developing ourselves from just a lecturer to a professional lecturer. Knowing that, the third thing is actually our plan and strategy. Because now I recommend that everybody align their ambition and perspective. So that means we have the ambition now to be a professional lecturer. So the third step will be having a good strategy, aligning our mission. And now we have the UiTM 2025 strategic plan. Underline that plan is a value-driven strategic plan. And the value-driven is putting out a statement to all lecturers, all staff of UiTM that as organization, as PTGs UiTM, we should have three things: excellence, integrity, and synergy. And for individual, each of us in UiTM, we should have IDAT, talking about ilmu. What else, Aisha? D for discipline. A for amanah, if I'm not mistaken. R for, no, I might forgotten. R for rajin. T for, what is it, Prof. Zakia?
Tanggungjawab.
Yes, tanggungjawab, responsibility. So actually, these are, if I can remember, these were coined over 5 major workshops involving the higher management team and also selected participants from UiTM. So we know our role and responsibilities, and then we draw the plan, the strategy to be aligned to UiTM. I think working in any organization, and me being an engineer, we talk about system and gear and things like that. So if we are not, our gear is not aligned with UiTM gear, there's no alignment. So our life in UiTM will be miserable. Management wouldn't like us because we are not in the mechanism churning out a good movement, bringing momentum to the university. So we should align our plan strategy, including doing research. That's the requirement. That's a must. So we should plan, strategize, and move our mission, our goal, align with UIs. In fact, my experience when I was with the faculty before, we put our goal to be much better than the minimum KPI university put out. For example, you see on average say, okay, the PI for the PTJ should be around 80%. We say, no, in the faculty, we should achieve 100% because every single lecturer should do research. They should head research. Doesn't matter what area, the majority engineering, of course, the core area will be engineering. But they can also do research in management of education. For example, we do OBEs and we have to go through accreditation, quality assurance. So some can do research on that. And then with that, 100% can do research. Everybody do research. You know, like AHL say, now everybody can fly. We can say that now everybody do research. It's not complete. Sorry to put it this way. It's not complicated thing. So the third one is strategy and plan. The last one, as a lecturer, to instill, to really put out ourselves as a significant lecturer. I think the last one is CQI, continuous quality quality improvement. So this is not only applicable to OBE, etc., but also applicable to every single lecturer, every single person. That means as we grow, I remember when I was junior, I was a bit naughty in ITM before. And at that time, most of my students are older than myself. I mean, I was a bit young. So at that time, ITM, we have many students who are coming from poor background and poor educational achievement, but they tried many times and they qualified to become UiTM student. So growing from that challenging situation, going to senior lecturer and did my PhDs, and then later on becoming associate professor. Before that, they call it principal lecturer, I think, if I'm not mistaken, last time. And then, of course, being promoted to professor. So growing from that is always continuous quality improvement. And now appointed to be with Mitran is totally foreign to me early on. You see, I'm very much doing research on signal processing control system, which is the core of my professional area. Now, going to Mitran, we're talking about transportation, logistic, and supply chain. So this is another point of improvement for myself. It's continuous quality improvement. So as we grow older and we align ourselves with our ambition now to become a significant lecturer, we also renew our strategic plan, maybe every quarter or every half year. And we grow in university and we carry more responsibilities. And then from being just a naive or innocent lecturer, we grow to senior lecturer and we start growing the research connection, research experience. And then we start capturing experience of supervising students. And from there we grow. But our students also grow, they graduated, they become somebody. So we grow along. And for example, now the panel here, all of them are very senior now, and except, of course, one. which is also very senior, but holding a dean's post. So at this position now, we are driving some of the initiative in the university, and that's our responsibility. So that should be in our plan. Personally, I don't like being a manager or leader in PTJs, but all along I'm contributing in leading certain issues for the university, certain component of direction, certain component of initiative. So because that's according to my plan, I should be there. I'm responsible for that. So to me, the fourth step in establishing ourselves to becoming a professional lecturer, I recommend. I mean, you can have your own choice. Because why I said so, Aisha, let me. I'm still within my time, isn't it? So let me just um, 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 put a strong statement to why I'm leading this morning session as I shared with you all just now. Because I said I think doesn't matter how the technology advances from ice age to agricultural age. And now we have the IR 4.0, and the people, especially in the European nation, they are already coining IR 5.0. And in IR 4.0, we are very much digital influence, digital economy, digital education, digital assessment, digital friendship, digital, even marriage also by digital now. Um, so all this, if you notice, and of course, I should mention that along the planning from us growing from junior lecturer to a professor, we should spend a lot of time reading. Not only reading for research area, our academic things, but also reading other books, other material. And I spend my time almost every day reading other material. And from my reading, I mean, one of the oldest book that I read is uh, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. This was written, I've got the replicate of the original book in very classic English language. So that was published in 1800. That's my oldest, of course, Quran and Hadith. Those are much older that we read every day. But this book, Napoleon Hill, talk about mind setting and how we grow from just thinking about something into making a habit. And of course, Aristotle mentioned that excellent is actually whatever you do repeatedly. So it's a habit. It's not an act. So if we grow the habit by our planning, our strategy, then we grow from just a lecturer to becoming a professional lecturer. That means in our domain, not only we settle our classroom commitment, engaging student, promising the best effort to get the student to get A's in the class, in their assessment, but we are good enough in our research. We committed to research and try to be excellent in research. And of course, deliver our expertise to help develop the society, community at large. So we do that. And why these are important to me through my reading from that book, Think and Grow Rich. Then there are many other books along the way. The books by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And then you see latest book in this decade, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then you talk about Joe Dispenza talking about change your mind, change your life, change your thinking, change your money, or something like that. And the famous Martin Seligman talking about psychology, and Ben Sherman talking about psychopositive psychology. All of this telling me that the best aspect to help people grow from being unprofessional to professional is human motivation, human inspiration. We cannot go away from that. So to being a good lecturer and engaging ourselves to be strong enough, especially in this pandemic area, we should be spiritually, bodily strong. To be able to be a good lecturer, a good researcher, we should be strong. And to garner this strength, beside doa and prayer to Allah SWT, we should have our own strength. And this own strength comes from our motivation and inspiration. You cannot, doesn't matter how advanced the technology, how advanced the system, how advanced the social media, but we fall back to our own self. So to support, sorry Aisha, I'm coming down to very basic here, because if I keep talking about Mitran, then people will be angry with me. But just to stop my first talk this morning, I will also say that at Mitran, we promote great research and engagement with our lecturers and our communities, and we offer scholarship. I'm sorry. we offer financial support. Sorry, Prof. Nazi. My mistake. We offer also financial support for not only student RAs, but also for lecturers who are looking for research. But mind you, your research must be in line with transportation, logistics, and halal supply chain or supply chain. And you are very much welcome. If you don't have any other grant for your research, since I'm supporting this topic today and growing lecturer to become professional by starting with research, if you don't have any research to start off, come to Mitran. Put out your proposal, we will help you, and you can start to become a good researcher. Okay, I'll stop there first, Aisha. Thank you very much. So I'll pass back the session to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. There's a very good insights regarding how to be to always have continuous quality improvement, because I can see that that is what is lacking within lecturers, within academicians, whereby when they think of lecturing, they perceive with only lecturing, but they don't emphasize on the research part, because maybe one of the things that been highlighted by Prof is to always renew strategic plan. We cannot plan what is going to happen next. Sometimes we end up in administration. Sometimes we became a leader. So we need to renew our strategic plan and to ensure that all this plan that we have, we try to stick to it. One of the method is to make it as our hobby. That is one thing that I think we need to highlight all our young researchers or to all the researchers out there. Okay, moving on with this topic, I like how it's actually going through to Prof. Zul topic for today. Okay, Prof. Zul?
Yeah.
All right, very relatable to the topics that given by Prof. Nasir. Okay, education professionals are always learning, as mentioned by Prof. Nasir just now. Okay, analyzing information and looking forward to improve and adapt to modern demands. As I mentioned just now, we're having our new norms. We have ODL, we can do research on ODL, as mentioned by Prof. Nasir. Okay, but at the same time, we are always juggling to fulfill our KPI requirements, whether it can be lecturing, whether it can be in the administration ataupun management. Okay, we have a lot of tasks in the management duties. I think Prof. Nazir is highly can agree on that. Okay, and also at the same time as a student. Okay, maybe some of us are teaching and becoming a student at the same time. So with that said, what do you think is the attributes to be a great research leader? Okay, because now we are aiming towards becoming a good academician in research. So of course we need to be a good research leader. But at the same time, keeping up with other requirements, we cannot concentrate at one line only. We need to broaden our skills and broaden our perspective. So Prof. Zul, what do you think about that?
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, Madam Aisyah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia TNCPI Prof. Nazib, our fellow panelists and members from the floor in this Zoom meeting. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh, and a very good morning to everyone. I'm Zul from Sains Kesihatan. Just a little bit an introduction about the faculty. We produce various disciplines of health science programs, from diploma to degree to master and PhD. And we produce a healthcare provider, mainly to the about health disciplines, the nurses, the optometry, physiotherapy, and all that. And we are in the faculty are in support with the aspirations to inculcate positivity, not only in the working place, but also positivity in the mindset. Because we believe here, a healthy mindset is always important to move on in our daily life. And also being a faculty of health sciences, we aim to produce warga negara, an individual, a person possess a good body, a good healthy body, because we believe healthy mind come always from the healthy body, and that's it. Jadi back to the question, Madam Aisyah, what is the attribute to be a good researcher, to be a good leader, kan? In my personal opinion, kan, I may respond to the question with a very simple answer: motivation. Yes, motivation. Yes, everybody needs motivation. People may presume that to be a good leader, to be a good researcher, kan, someone need to have a good knowledge, kan, must be knowledgeable, must be passion, must be hardworking and all that. Yeah, indeed, it's true. They are all true. To be a good leader, to be a good researcher, one must have a good mindset, must be knowledgeable, must be highly educated, kan, and all that. Hardworking and a long list of attributes. Tetapi many people have forgotten the most important component of a human being is to motivate.
True.
Yes.
Very much true.
So the question is why motivations? Why motivation? Why motivation is indeed important apart from those other requirements, kan, kepandaian and all that? Because we are human. We are human. We are subjected to many living obstacles, living challenges that we face daily. Yeah, as what Prof. Nasir and you have said just now, we are in the midst of pandemic. Yeah, where our living style has changed dramatically. Yeah, there are a lot of obstacles. There are a lot of halangan, kan, in our daily life these days because of pandemic. Yeah. Our daily style has changed. We are no longer be able to see the students face to face. We are not able to go out easily because of movement restriction. We are not allowed to greet people, shaking hands. We are not allowed to dine in, temporarily because of movement restriction. And everything changed. And it not only affect in our job place, but also in the house. Because many people stay at home, work from home basis, kan. Malahan, I believe there are many of us, kan, out there may have been staying in the house for more than many months, and particularly our children who are schooling. There's no schools today. So all this collectively, ladies and gentlemen, they create a situation where people get stressed.
True. We have been staying at home, I think, ever since 18th of March 2020, actually, until now.
Yes. Initially, people get happy, stay at home, is it? Wah, kan, duduk rumah, tak pakai kerja, kan. Tapi, tell you, kan, people these days want to go out from the house, want to go to the office, because people get stressed. At least we can go to the office. But how about our children?
True.
In sekolah, how about our students, university students, kan, that stays at home, kan, with the family and all that, with the limitation that they have at home. So all collectively, due to pandemic, will escalating the stress factor, and therefore we need motivations. And one of the important, to me at least, kan, for this time being, particularly in this era, one of the most important attribute as a key researcher, as a leader, kan, is to motivate. Everybody need motivations, regardless who you are, Aisyah. Whether you are school pupils, you are university student, you are worker in the office, you are a dean, for instance, you are a leader of an organization, you are a teacher, and all that. You are a housewife, you are a husband, you are a single person. Everybody need motivation these days. Does it mean that the motivation only required during pandemic era? What I'm trying to say, as far as human is concerned, we need motivation. And this motivation requirement is further needed in this particular very challenging era that we face now, a pandemic. So back to the questions, why motivation is important? Apart from we are human, we got feelings, kan? We have some the ups and the downs. Because motivation will boost spiritual well-beings of an individual. Motivation will enhance the inner wills of a person. Motivation will increase the self-confidence, the directions of a person. All the positivity will boost with motivation and allow them to move on, to go ahead to achieve the living goal that they've been assigned to them. That's the motivation. Yeah. For instance, there are numbers of lecturers here in this forum. You possess a lot of research grant. You have a lot of students under you as you as a main supervisors. And now these days with the COVID pandemic, there are numbers of restrictions that everyone need to follow because of the SOP. Yeah, affect our research activity, particularly those who are involved in the the clinical, involved with the field work and all that. All be affected, affect their study durations. Students get demotivated. This is the time for you to keep going motivating your students. And let's say, similarly, if you have your subordinates, you are a leader of an organization, you have subordinates under you, kan? Motivation is important because motivation will boost the spirit of someone to do better, to move on, move ahead, to achieve living goals. I would like to now people will ask, okay, now we need motivations. Yeah, how much motivation do we need? Yeah, how frequent motivation do we need? Motivation is needed daily, every day. Why? Because all of us are exposed with various living challenges every day, regardless whether it's a huge challenge or a small challenge, or the magnitude is rather simple, easy to handle or not. We are exposed to living challenges every day, and therefore, motivation is needed every day, regardless of who you are. Yeah? I would like to share some motivation quote, if I'm allowed to share with you, about one motivational quote that I have in my collection from a renowned author and motivator, Zig Ziglar. Yeah. Mungkin agaknya ramai pernah dengar Zig Ziglar. He's a very renowned world motivator and also author of many books. He passed away 10 years ago, which I like one of his motivation quote ini, which I can read aloud. Nampak ni guys, balik. Okay. If I can read aloud, because I put here is a bit tak nampak kan?
Tak nampak sebab it's ada background.
Background. Okay. People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we need motivation to be recommended daily. Zig Ziglar recommending motivation to be given daily. Should you have students under you, should you have your subordinates under you, kan? Motivate them daily. And motivation shouldn't be too much, yeah. It must be in subtle way. Yeah. Timbul persoalan bahawa how much motivation need to be given to the subordinates, how much the amount of motivation need to be given to the students. Yeah, I would like to make some analogy, Aisyah, about motivation, to relate to ourselves. Food, makanan, yeah, diet. Everybody need food, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody need to eat daily, every day. Without with food, you will get energy. With energy, you can move around. You can do your work. You can go to the office. You can run. You can walk. You can do anything, with food. Yeah. But without food, you will have no energy. With no energy, you will become lethargic, and you will die in the end. Yeah. Meaning that food is needed daily. Yeah. But so to relate with motivation, how much motivation is needed to be given to our surrounding? Let's go back to the analogy food. How much food is given to someone? How much food is needed by someone? It depends. It depends to the individuals. Actually, yeah. It may not be the same. Every individual have a food requirement different from one to another. The ransom will be different. But yeah, the key point in food intake is basically everything should be taken in moderate. Sederhana, keseimbangan. Despite of the fact that food is needed by everybody, we have to take food every day to stay alive. Yeah? Tapi to consume too much food is no good for us. Make sense?
Sure.
Because if you take too much food, you'll becoming fat. That is no good for you, for us, because because fat is one of the prominent predisposing factor for the onset of various diseases that we know. Hypertension, obesity, cardiovascular problems, diabetes, all that non-communicable disease, the collective of all diseases is basically originated from food that we take. Too much food intake is too good for us. So meaning that food need to be taken in moderation. Similarly with motivation. It need to be given, it need to be sprinkled, it need to be shared in a moderation. Why? Because if motivation is given too much, the effect will be different. If motivation is given too much, it will becoming hypocrisy. Jadi, if food need to be taken in moderation, bergantung kepada keperluan orang itu, so that motivation need to be sprinkled in a subtle way. Tidak boleh dibuat secara dibuat-buat, terlebih-terlebih. Yeah. Yes, indeed. The way of motivating people needs some skill basically, but it's a acquired skill. Everybody can get the skill with practice. Ringankan mulut orang katakan untuk memberikan penghargaan. Ringankan mulut untuk memberikan recognition, to give recognitions, compliment to your subordinates, to your students, and this motivation not only can be applied in the working place, where you are the leader, you are the superior, and you have the subordinate under you, or you are the supervisor, possess a huge grant, or having many postgraduate students, and then therefore you need to motivate them. If you have nobody, you can motivate yourself.
True.
Because we are human, Jadi, back to motivation tadi itu, once people get motivated, they will spontaneously, psychologically, they will double their effort. I give an example, tuan-tuan. Try to imagine, try to imagine you are someone, you have your superior up there, you are given an assignment. You do your assignment to the best that you can do. And the assignment given, you can see your superior and hand up the report. And what do you feel if your superior say, well, this is good, well done, not bad, congratulations to you for the work well done. What do you feel? Try to imagine that. It may spontaneously will uplift your inner wheels to boost, to some extent that you want to do more because of the simple words of motivation. The power of motivation. Not to be sprinkled too much, just a little bit more. Sikit saja, in a subtle way. Because that is the honest deliberations of recognitions to your subordinates, to your colleague, to your spouse, to your family members, to your friends, macam tu. It's important to have motivation. Okay, now, I would like to relate about motivations. In what way the motivation can be delivered, can be deliberated, by saying, well done, wow, this is good, well done, not bad, okay. If you have some students, okay, one of your students, you're given an assignment to your students, and students do the best that they can do, give to you the assignment, and you found it to be good, say it out, Jangan berat mulut lah, cakap, oh, good, this is very good, well done, that's it. Let's say katalah kalau the assignment given by your students is not up to your standard, that you feel that they need to be, improve things like that. Jangan marahkan orang pula, kan. Give motivation in the other way around. This is good, this is not too bad, but I think if you do it another way around, I think the result will be better. You instill the motivation in the midst of something that you not feel happy. Everything is conveyed in a very positive way. So people that accept that that criticism doesn't feel offensive, doesn't feel offended, they still can accept the criticisms too in a very positive way, and you don't feel anything after that. You see, that's the power of motivations. My stuff. Okay, Another aspect of motivations that Aisha and other members, if I can share with you, is a non-verbal motivation. There are two ways of motivating people, or to yourself, through verbal communication, as what I mentioned just now. And secondly, it's about non-verbal motivations. It's about action, And I think the second motivation approach ini basically is known by everybody, I think. But just a matter people doesn't get the meeting point, I think. You may be aware, you could be remembering, about the slogan kan ataupun motto yang kita biasa dengar sebelum ini, iaitu kepimpinan melalui teladan. Kan? Semua pernah dengar benda tu kan? It's right in our official letter anyway, but I'm not sure hari ni ada lagi tidak. But anyway, basically we know that slogan. We know that motto, kepimpinan melalui teladan. What does it mean? It's about motivation. It's about both motivation, non-verbal motivation. It's about to do it. The leaders, the students, the researcher that you have students under you. It's about you do it. You do it the assignment together. Teach your subordinate how to do it. Not instructing. It's not good, boss. Instructing is not good, boss. Teach your students, your subordinate how to do it together. Why we need to do that is about motivation, because human mind have different it's very, very mystery and very complex about human mind, because everybody have different mindset, different way of thinking, different school of thought. And basically certain assignment that we give to our students, to our subordinate kan, basically Aisyah kan, people tend to have a negative thought, this is difficult to do. This is almost impossible within the stipulated time frame given. This is, I think, it's not doable. But imagine, tuan-tuan, imagine if you do it first. You can prove that those assignment is doable, can be done within the stipulated time frame given, can be executed, and that approach will be give a positive effect to our subordinate, that they can change their mindset. They can feel that it's doable. Yes, why not? My lecturer pun boleh buat. I tentu lagi boleh buat. Something like that. And that may change the way people think into positivity. There are two ways of motivation: verbal communication and non-verbal communication. Kepimpinan melalui teladan itu one of the example we can share with you, because I remember that spontaneously that about motivations. Please allow me to share a little bit, Aisyah, about some stories about Zig Ziglar, because I like Zig Ziglar very much. I keep a lot of his motivational thought with me. In his very early days of his career as an author, dia ada banyak buku sebenarnya, more than 50 books he had published, But in the very beginning, early days of his career as an author, one of the early books that he has written has been rejected by the publisher for more than 30 times. To be more precise, 39 times the book has been rejected by the 39 publisher. What does it mean? Orang rasa buku tu tak berguna lah kan, tak dinilai komersial. But he keep insisting, to try. And only the 40th publisher, the publisher accepted the book and published the book. And surprisingly, to share with you, the book is still in print until today, when Zig Ziglar has passed away 10 years ago. And the book is basically has been firstly published in 1975. So what is the moral from the story about Zig Ziglar buku tadi itu, which I have shared with all of us here, is basically determination. No retreat, no surrender. Motivation people and motivation yourself. Create a positivity in your surrounding, because the positivity will come back to you. And jangan berputus asa, tuan-tuan. With this pandemic, it's going to be hard to all of us, see, in all aspects. And kalau ada student dekat sini, student undergraduate, they are stay at home, can listen to us kan. It is nice because they are the one who have the very big impact. Our children, in fact ourselves juga lah kan, but you can still go to the office anyway, you know. Because I want to share with you one simple quotation, which I can get from one movie. Long time ago, I watched one movie. It's a comedy movie. Tapi I like the quotation. I still keep and remember until now, which I want to share with you all. It's like this: you try, you fail. You try, you fail. You try, you fail. But the ultimate failure is when you stop trying. Think about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Okay, I wonder while talking was Prof was talking about motivation. So I've read this one book, a very famous book entitled "Don't Be Sad." I think Prof pun ada stumble upon that book. Okay, it's by Dr. Ait Abdullah Al-Karni. Okay, whereby it mentions about how he compliments one student, just one student, because his student was feeling very, very down at that time. So he does a simple compliment saying that, oh, you did a good job. So surprisingly, that student thrived and become a very, very renowned person. And that student thanked to him because he said that he mentioned that when he will have nothing, when he have no motivation, sometimes we have some things physically, it can be doable, but mentally, sometimes people tend to tutup sebelah mata regarding this about motivation. People tend to, oh, you can do it. You have the money, you have the faith, you have the health, but you forgot about our mental motivations.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a very good point out from Prof regarding motivation. So we need to do it not just verbally, whereby in communication, like as mentioned from the book entitled "Don't Be Sad," it's a very, very good book. And non-verbal communication. That one is, I think, is a good point out here because we keep on saying kepimpinan melalui teladan. But we forgot that we need to teach our subordinates, and we also sometimes we tend to just ask the students to do things, ask our research student to do this, to that, but we didn't try to solve the problems together. I think that the process of solving a problem is the beautiful part of research.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I can add something, Aisha, a little bit on my a few of my collections, yeah, I will share with you all, you know, to relate with motivation and how to boost our spirits, you know, our inner well-beings to relate in our daily life, kan? About as what Pranasi is saying just now about konsep konsep redha kan, redha tadi tu ya, dan juga ketakwaan kepada Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala lah. One of the quotation that I have kan also from Zig Ziglar also, when you do more than you're paid for, eventually you'll be paid for more than you do.
Yeah,
kan? Kalau kita buat kerja dengan ikhlas kan, tanpa memikir faktor apa yang kita dapat in return kan, sesungguhnya you will get more than what you should be paid for. You will get happiness, you will get peace of mind, you know, things like that. You know why? Because again, from Albert Schweitzer, success is not the key of happiness. People may think that success is the key of happiness. It doesn't. Success is not the key of happiness. Happiness is the key to success. You must be happy, then you'll be success. If you love what you are doing, then you will be successful. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. So, happiness and success. Okay.
Happiness index.
All right, thank you so much for the very, very good insights, Prof. Here, something that we tend to look aside about motivation this part because we keep on saying we need to reach the KPI, but we forgot that we need motivation along the way. Okay, all right, moving on. I will move with Professor Dr. Zakia. Okay, Prof.
Yeah.
Alright, Assalamualaikum. So, the College of Engineering. Okay, so this is a very interesting. So, because we have now the College of Engineering, right, was officially established very recently, on the 29th of March this year. Yeah, Prof? Right, very interesting. As the global landscape of higher education changes to the changes in technology and the ever-changing world of works, the emergence is actually designed to synergize the colleges. Okay, because we have 4 faculties into one college now, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so the college's resources towards introducing new multi and interdisciplinary academic program at all levels. Okay, so 4 faculties into one college. So with that, I believe the synergy it does not stop at designing new academic programs, but also it opens up in opportunities in various prospects of research. Okay? So how can we take initiative from the research synergy, Prof?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. First of all, thank you Puan Aisyah, yang berbahagia Prof Nazib, PTNCPI and fellow panelists and the member in the webinar here. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, I'll take up the challenge in talking about the college because it's quite the subject is quite sensitive. Anyway, as all of us know that College of Engineering become the first college in UiTM. In fact, it's quite challenging for us because we are considered as a pilot study and also as a reference to all of to us. We are being watched, we are being evaluated, and if we can actually success in the aim of forming the college. So I think it's quite stressful, in fact, to be honest, to all of us managing the college. But before I go further into how we plan for the synergy in research, because I was given the topic on synergy of research, I will not deviate from whatever area that you have already given to me, because you have planned so that the participant can hear our views on this. Okay, first let us be clear as to what synergy means. To simply put it, synergy is when 1 + 1 is equal to more than 2. It's not equal to 2. And more importantly, the outcome of the synergy contributes to the achievement of our goals and also objectives. Now, when dealing with higher education, in my opinion, one of the most overdue synergy required in our university is the synergy between education and also research. I'm not implying that we are not doing research and blend it with education, but I think we are not doing it enough. Okay, if synergy means 1 + 1 = 4, or we are at the moment only having maybe 0.2 + 1.8 equivalent to 1, where 0.2 is our effective emphasis on education and 1.8 is our extensive research, but with very little on improvement in our quality of education. Okay, but how we blend the two together, how we include our experience into teaching. Do we monitor that? Do we gauge that? Do we analyze that? Are the lecturers who are having enough research background? Do they really impart it into the education in the reviewing the syllabus, in developing new curriculum, in developing new programs? Okay. To mention a few of our misconceptions and oversight, the first one is the notion that the academics will automatically know how to teach just because they have a PhD. When they come back, when we recruit lecturers, now our requirement when we want to recruit a new lecturer, we definitely want to have a lecturer that have PhD already. Do we provide them training, in-house training in teaching for certain subject, for example? Secondly, we are still not giving sufficient due emphasis on developing genuine capabilities that are needed to achieve higher quality education, through research, when we do not develop a pool of academics who really focus on this agenda. We have research track. Yeah, RMC has provided the guideline on research track. Do the faculty really look into this? Really work in providing conducive environment for these lecturers who are in the teaching track to excel? Do we do the monitoring or not? Okay. For example, right now we can allow the lecturers to become to be in the research track according to the minimum requirement given under RMC, which is minimum. There must be a research leader with grant at least 20,000. Is it enough for them to be sustained in that track? Because we are afraid that the first year they will not be able to produce the KPI 15 papers or 16 papers or whatever number of papers with that minimum number of research grants. That will be not. We must, when we try to check, to allow the lecturers to be in that research track, we must also look at their previous achievement, yeah, to see whether they can sustain or not to produce, because we want to achieve certain criteria in KPI in UiTM. We definitely must allow a certain group of lecturers to be focused in research. And hopefully, these lecturers also, of course, they have to teach about 6 hours. So hopefully, they also be able to blend in their experience into teaching and help the faculty to develop a new curriculum that will be for futuristic curriculum programs and so on and so on. Yeah. But most importantly, the management of the faculty must be able to look into this more seriously. And also, in terms of giving them the conducive environment in doing research to achieve the KPI of the faculty actually overall in the university, we must also make sure that they will be given minimum other responsibility. But of course, this lecturer must be honest enough when they are in that track, they must really perform. Okay, I will talk a little bit on this part on the later if I get the opportunity on talking about the research. Okay, now years of rapid growth and expansion since we become university have resulted faculties almost functioning in silo. I'm sorry to say that. Previously, yes, because we have KPIs to achieve. Yeah, we are striving hard to achieve that KPI. Okay, we even have evolved in different set of rules, written and unwritten, and how people engage with each other. In some respect, the focus and emphasis have been developed elements of competitiveness and specialization that contribute to the KPIs of the university, as well as the culture developed by the management and the dean of the faculty. We feel that before we become college, yeah, we are separate faculties, but I will not go into detail on that. Yeah, okay. But I have been the dean of Faculty of Engineering before. Okay, to be honest, yes, we are working hard and focused on delivering the KPI set for us. Make sure lecturers do research, produce paper, able to secure grant, etc. And I'm sure other faculties are also doing the same thing. By being individual faculties, for me as the dean and also as faculty member, we can only see the strength in our lecturers without knowing much about the strength of lecturers from other faculties, unless we are very close with some of them. We have working together for some times, then we know. Yeah, there are of course some collaboration have taken place with other faculties by the individual lecturers. Now I have the opportunity to become Dean of Research and Innovation for College of Engineering, and I'm able to have the bird view of the pool of research talents at the college. I can see diverse expertise and research areas. In fact, I'm quite surprised, with the achievement and the talents that we have. At the same time, after pulling all the information, we can see that we have various international and national industry partners beside government and non-government agency partners that have been gathered by all 4 engineering faculties. Therefore, there are great opportunities in synergizing the research activities. For example, previously, one company is only working with one faculty, but that company also having areas that is required by other engineering fields. But we don't know about that. We are not working together. But this has opened up the opportunity for other schools to work together. You can see now. Very, very good. It's actually, I'm happy with this situation. Yeah, even from the university, collaboration, and also from government agency like Petronas, before this have strong collaboration with Faculty of Chemical Engineering. But now I have already secured grant under Petronas. You can see that it can be extended to others by having a discussion together, by sitting in the meeting together. So this is what it means by synergy. It can bring up positive impact, to the research and also to the education, because this also open up opportunity for other students to have placement in the Petronas, not only chemical engineering students, but also for civil, for mechanical, for electrical. Because we know already the contact person from that industry that we can talk, we can discuss, can see that whether other areas can also be part of that organization, to work together with that organization. And I also can feel that now the college community starts to know each other better. Before this, we try to work individually, and we also already feel comfortable working together. We accept the changes. Now sharing budget. Before this, we have separate budget. So we have already given the budget early of this year. Now we can see that if other college, other school has not enough budget, we can share now. So we are not individualistic anymore. We can share facilities. Before this, some charge us, and then the student, undergraduate, cannot use it because they don't have money, no have fund to use the facilities. Now we open it to everybody. So, and then we can share a supervisor, we can share student PhD. There's a lot of opportunity actually. And most importantly, I think the committee of college engineering has already had the feeling belong to the college rather than the individual school. Therefore, with this new spirit, it will definitely enhance the collaboration in research and teaching, etc. in the future. Definitely, of course, there are still other challenges, but slowly we will be able to handle that, inshallah. Inshallah. But there are more positive than negative. We can see already that the collaboration research in interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary have already taken place. And we expect that will be more in the future. Definitely will be more in the future. There are also similar area of research and teaching among the engineering faculties, but at this moment, they are working individually. By being in the college, we can share lecturers now. We can share facilities. We can share research expertise. In many ways, certain research can be expanded to the other areas and applications. Through discussion among different experts from different schools, we definitely be able to come up with new research areas. Definitely will come up with research areas. Since now they are not working in silo, what I mean in a separate faculty, At the same time, with the pool of research industry partners, the different applications can be met. The industry partner previously only collaborate with one faculty, but now the collaboration can be extended to other schools. Through research synergy, training and workshop can be conducted for multidisciplinary industry. Not only timber with timber industry, concrete with concrete industry, electronic with electronic industry. Now it can be synergized. It can be in the same platform, multidisciplinary platform, because each industry sometimes they are also having different disciplines. And this definitely can open up more opportunities for research funding, income generation through lab rental. Before this, they only know the equipment in one school, but now they know the other equipment from other schools. We can produce papers together. We can have student attachment. We can have more numbers of MOU and MOA. Even if we look at our more recent success, if we insist on continuing with the things that have been produced, those success previously, we may end up being complacent. So that's why I think there's a reason why the restructuring is done. And we all know that the complacency is the enemy of progress and improvement. In this VUCA world, our target is shrouded by uncertainties, ambiguities, and volatility. Hence, a more realistic approach to a more complex problem will require a multidisciplinary engagement. And this is the spirit that we need in order to advance. I'm giving an example in my research. It's much easier for me to share. As I involved in timber engineering, timber industry is considered in the sunset actually. We used to be the largest, if not the second largest tropical timber exporter. But now there are not many areas of legal logging, and we can see many factories are closing down actually. It's very bad, Therefore, the universities have to come up with solutions such as by developing new timber products or engineered timber products so that this industry can survive. We also require to develop new design standards so that the engineer, architect can use the design, develop new program of courses to train engineers, architects to be able to design and construct. Hence, new timber industries to manufacture the timber product rather than just sell them as sawn timber, and in order to really improve this industry, to advance this industry. Okay, yes, I can do research on the development of the new product, but I do not have much knowledge on IoT and programming development for the advancing in the research on the timber engineering, especially towards IR 4.0, for example. For example, in the automation, in the mechanical grading of tropical hardwood timber. So being in college now, I have already identified some expert in this area. For example, from electrical and mechanical engineering. So by synergizing the research together, this will become new research area for these lecturers that coming from electrical and mechanical, and to me also, And the outcome of this study can be applied to industry related to timber as well as to other industries, for example, manufacturing industries, electronic industries. So definitely this, by synergizing this research activity, will be able to hit many KPIs. So I'm giving only for one example. There are other examples that I can plug it very easily because I've seen application of funding, I've seen application of paper proposal. So we can advise them to actually work together with other researchers from other schools. Actually, can expand, can become from one proposal, can make it into two proposals. If they really want to work it that way, Other strategies is actually currently we have RIGs, we have RGs for each school. So when we combine all RIGs and RGs, there are some duplication in the field. So through college synergy, this RIG and RIG can be matched. And hopefully they are willing to work together to form new niche areas. Later on, hopefully this can be able to map with national key area and hope to advance to high COE in the future with proper synergy and monitoring as well as support. Yeah, so it's not because things changes. Yeah, under Walker world, things are move very fast. IR 4.0, IR 5.0, IR 6.0. So we have to move very fast. So we have to synergize in this case. We cannot do our research just based on our PhD work only. We must be able to expand it and try to look at what is required in the industry now and be able to think, even though the industry now is not have their own product and so on, but we as researcher university should be able to think beyond that. Although we in the college are still in the early stage of researching, we only be together in 4 months. Yeah, we are going to strategize to achieve the objective of the researching, which is the integration in research that can initiate definitely new program, will create new business and new industries, inshallah. Yeah, so we are striving very hard to achieve whatever objective of the restructuring of the formation of the college, and through synergy in research and blended it together into teaching and learning, inshallah we'll be able to achieve that in future, inshallah. Okay, I think I can stop that for now. I go back to you, Panasha.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Zakia, for the wonderful insights regarding how synergy can actually increase our research opportunities actually. Okay, because I myself also from Faculty of Art and Design, but I did my research with Faculty FSG, Faculty Sains Gunaan. Okay, my second supervisor was from Faculty Sains Gunaan, because I feel that in this world, aesthetic is one thing, but functions is the most important thing right now.
Yeah.
It needs to be collabed together. Aesthetic alone, there's no commercial value. So we need to have the synergy of all these niche, all these forms, and produce a new niche area, as what you mentioned just now. Okay, so diverse research, and I can see that research with industrial partners, it has opened up opportunities for different schools. Okay,
Yeah.
and it also can be extended to other school. So one thing that I like where you point out, Prof. So there will be for example, placement for researchers, not just for chemical engineering. Now, from other schools can also enter Petronas. So I think that is a very, very important thing. Or when we talk about research, is somewhat a similar thing, whereby synergy, it opens up opportunities and extend to other people. Yeah, very, very great there. So it can also be applied to Prof. Zul topic just now. So motivation, it also can synergize with sharing. So from Prof. Zakia, we can see that all these things, when we talk about research, how a professional lecturer, they need to have motivations value, and they need to have a sharing value. That is how, when we talk about the professionality or kehebatan seorang pensyarah tu in the lecture. So they need to have all these values, sharing, motivations, which is very, very important to heighten their capabilities. Okay, thank you so much again, Prof. Zakia. So moving on, we have Associate Professor Dr. Hartini Saripan, Dean Faculty of Law. So one question, it can be seen nowadays we are enduring towards this really stressful pandemic. Okay, so this pandemic has pushed us to reimagine the legal education and adapt to the new normal. There's a lot of new normal terms coming up now. Okay, research in general can be practiced in various methods. It can be from sciences, it can be from social sciences, it can be practice-based in different methods. So coping with the pandemics should never stop academicians from conducting research, because being a professional lecturer, you need to always go for research regarding whatever obstacle that we are facing in front of us right now. So, Prof, how can we conduct research that is much more meaningful and the applicable results can benefit all societies?
Thank you so much, Aisha. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting me, and thank you, Prof. Yang berbahagia Prof. Nazib, for your trust in me today. And it's an honor indeed to be speaking alongside the esteemed professors. And I am very delighted to be here with all of you today. And I think the number of participants today are very good. So I really hope that what we are sharing today will benefit all of us. Aisha has actually started the statements just now with a very interesting phrases that is to reimagine the legal education. I would love to talk about legal education, but I thought it would be more useful for all of us if I am expanding the scope of legal education to also cover all fields, especially since I am the only one representing from social sciences and humanities. I would love to share with all of you how we in the social sciences and humanities can also play the game, can be part of UiTM success in bringing UiTM to the next level and become the renowned university by 2025. So let me just go back to the question when Aisha said, how can we conduct research that is meaningful, impactful, and we have results that could actually benefit the society. And I am interested in directing my points to what I call translating research in ways that enable research to be applied. And I believe this is very much related to what Prof. Zakia has mentioned earlier about synergy and the importance of working together. So I thought that the spirit and notion of translational research has to be reimagined and refocused in order to for all of us to know how important the process of translating research into something that is applicable to not just to the industry practitioners, but more importantly for our students and the society at large. So this is what we call translational research, and believe me, this is not new. It started 2 decades ago, I think more than 10 years, 20 years ago. And it actually refers to a type of work that attempts to bridge the gap between basic research and the world of practice. In the legal line, we always, or in the legal research, we call it, we have this type of research that is to bridge the law in the book and the law in action. That is the spirit of translational research that I'm talking about, that can actually be expanded. And I believe that this is the same spirit and notion that has been highlighted by Prof. Zakia, by Prof. Nasib, even by Prof. Nazib at the beginning of the session. I think it's very important for us to understand why translational research is very important. not just because recently, especially, during the pandemic, the spirit of translational research has been refocused, not just by KPT, but more importantly at UiTM, because we are leveraging our strength. We have 35 campuses and 21 faculties. We are big, and that is our strength. And we thought that having research that could be translated into practice, and we bring it to our classroom to empower our students to benefit from the research is very, very important. But before that, before I move further, speaking about translational research, I think it's also important for us to know why this is very, very important. And it goes back to the basic of why we do research. And to simply put it in a very simple way, we do research because we want to learn more about the subject. But the next question should actually be more important to be asked by all of us. What happened to the knowledge generated by research? Are we collecting dust when we have a cantik je berbaris, on our shelves, or dalam kertas-kertas yang kita print? So what happened to the knowledge generated by research? And historically, researchers have relied upon the academic publishing industry and conference circuit for publication, dissemination, and citation purposes. So we talk about the importance of publication, we talk about the importance of citation, which all of these are actually interrelated when we talk about sharing the findings of our research. Or I think another term that is used is how we measure the impact of our research. But there are criticisms faced by these processes. And one of the criticisms is that the result of the researchers, when we talk about sharing new knowledge and via publication in the publishing industry or conferences, we are targeting or focusing more on sharing new knowledge largely with other researchers. And we tend to forget that there are other beneficiaries or stakeholders that require more than all of us researchers, and these are practitioners, policymakers, our students, our society. So this is why the notion of translational research has actually come into a picture, because we come to our senses that it is a huge challenge beyond doing our research. To do research is doable for us, but the biggest challenge is to make sure that the findings of our research is being shared. The findings of our research is not just shared, is being understood by the beneficiaries, and these beneficiaries could be practitioners, policymakers, students, society at large. So I would like to share or attract your attention to the OECD description of research almost 20 years ago, in 2002 to be exact. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has actually described 3 categories of research. One is basic research, applied research, and experimental development research. And it is highlighted that translational research goes beyond basic research and applied research. So some of us may be thinking that, translational research is it applied research? It's not. It actually goes beyond basic research and applied research, and it aligns most closely to experimental development, that is the process of translating knowledge through research into operational program, into something that is understandable by beneficiaries and societal at large. So the process of translating knowledge involves more than disseminating basic or applied research. So what we can understand here is that translational research promotes the interconnection between research, policy, and practice. And I thought this is where the strength of social sciences and humanities come in, because of course, especially in our field, in law, for example, it's our research is not very much focused on numerics or numerical data. Of course, we do have research that we adopt quantitative method, but our main method is mostly focused on what we call doctrinal and qualitative method. And I believe there are other fields that are quite similar, including MESCOM, FSPPP, and other social sciences, education, yes, education, basically social sciences and humanities. And one of our dilemma, and I believe one of the things that always stuck at the back of our mind is that, oh, kita ni daripada social sciences, less opportunity for us to do research, less opportunity for us to publish. I think it's time for us to start realizing our strength and leveraging our strength. And I think one of the ways that we could venture is to have translational research. And I'm going to share with you some of the steps of conducting translational research, as well as the challenges. So nothing in this world comes, without any challenges and problems. So there are certain challenges, but with proper processes, these challenges are basically doable and feasible to overcome. So there are 5 main processes of conducting translational research. The first one is what we call reviewing existing research. And bear in mind, translational research is all about communicating, engaging, sharing with beneficiaries. So the first step of prior to sharing, I believe reviewing existing research or what we have is very, very important, because as the name suggests, translational research, so the art of translating this research into variables that could be appreciated and understood by beneficiaries is very, very important. So that's why, of course, we do have certain processes, methodologies, that we follow when we conduct our research. But when we want to translate this research into translational research, reviewing what we have is very, very important. And step number 2, or process number 2, this is where we start to disseminating findings to make them accessible. The term here is accessibility. And I think, this is where UiTM is refocusing our direction by empowering our library. PITA is doing an excellent job. Sekiranya Tuan Technologies Hidayat and team daripada library, our PITA, if you are here, I think, a huge round of applause to all of you, because PITA now bukan macam PITA yang dulu, and with their direction of digital library, I think the spirit is to make our research more accessible, to increase accessibility of our research, and we have invested a lot, and I think our PITA is the first in ranked first in our country, and we are very privileged and thankful and grateful, to have our PITA team. And this is where all faculties and campuses can actually be on board to work together with PITA. And I think kita tak boleh bekerja secara sendiri ataupun bekerja seorang-seorang. Or we realize that kita ni fakulti, kita akan bekerja dalam ruang lingkup fakulti kita sahaja. I think that that understanding is is not right, and that would hinder, and that would become a huge obstacle for us to move forward and to become a renowned university. So to make our research accessible, leveraging what we have is very important, because step number 2 is for us to disseminate our finding. And step number 3, this is even more exciting, that is to engage with the wider community. And again, this is our strength in UiTM. Having said that, we are the biggest university in Malaysia with definitely a huge number of alumni and partners. I think to engage with the wider community would be our strength when we leverage our alumni, we leverage our collaborators, we leverage our partners. So as I mentioned, there are so many strengths that we have in UiTM that we could actually leverage. And step number 3 in translational research is to engage with the wider community, not just us researchers, but also people who could actually benefit from our research. And step number 4 is collaboration. And this collaboration is, of course, in teams of researchers as well as practitioners. And this is where I think Prof. Nasir has brought up a very interesting point that actually started when Prof. Nazib has inspired us with his opening remarks, showing us how we could actually empower our students as researchers, as research assistants, for example. And I believe RMC has actually provided so many channels for us to leverage and to empower our students to be appointed as research assistants. So collaboration is another keyword here, and it is very important. When we collaborate with practitioners, we will be able to develop integrated findings, and this is very, very important for reliability, originality, particularly when it comes to generalization. So, we can actually avoid those perceptions that we researchers, we always short sendiri, when it comes to doing research. And I think term short sendiri itu selalu diberikan kepada kita academician. They thought that we do research because we only focus on the theory. But I think now more researchers have ventured into what we call practical research, translational research, to make sure our findings would benefit, practitioners. We would actually go back to the industry, to the society at large. And the last step, there are 5 steps just now. Number 1 is reviewing existing research. Number 2 is disseminating our findings to make them accessible. Number 3, to strengthen our engagement. Number 4 is to strengthen our collaboration. And number 5, this is the last one, we cannot run away from this, what we call measuring impact. And measuring impact, when we engage our society, engage our students, we can measure impact when we see the benefit of our research is being accepted by all these beneficiaries, and that is the measurement of success. I am very interested when I think Prof. Zakia and Prof. Zol has highlighted how to measure our success. Is it, when we are called professors, or when we manage to finish our research? I think, all of our panelists have actually highlighted one of the measurement of success is when our research is being accepted by beneficiaries. And these beneficiaries are industry, students, society at large. And this is what UiTM is empowering all of us now. I'm sure all of us are quite familiar with the term community engagement, Sulam, and I think ICAN under the wings of Datuk Rahmat and RMC, our Prof. Nazib and Prof. Rosie, in academic, they have actually worked together to come up with a very solid blueprint for all of us in UiTM to consolidate and to understand and to implement. And one of them is via community work, Sulam, and I think now it is a compulsory thing for all of us to do it. And if we really internalize Sulam, this is all about translational research. And last week, RMC has organized one. I think it's very beneficial, and it's very interesting to hear this professor from UiTM sharing with all of us what amounts to high impact community work. And if we listen and internalize his sharing, he actually focuses, other than this community work, the community work starts actually from research. And I think this is what all of us should realize, and our way forward for translational research. I think before I end, I would like to quickly share with you the challenges in translational research. Number one is oversimplification. Now, the fact that we are engaging with the society, we are engaging with practitioners, the challenge is for us researchers in translational research to reduce complexity to just at the point that where nothing is lost in translation while referencing all supporting research. So to make it, basically to make it understandable to all levels of beneficiaries is quite challenging. But I think, with the right skill, we'll be able to do it. And the next challenge is ethics and conflict of interest. Because of the fact that we collaborate with our partners, often we have to admit that conflict of interest would be one of the challenges and issues to be addressed, where because the partnership may actually blur the boundaries between basic research and industry. So this diverse audience for translational research, from professional practitioners to parents to politicians to students, will actually blur the line to a certain extent between what is the boundaries, that we want to have in our research. And more importantly, to a certain extent, it could also lead to conflict of interest. So this is something that we need to address. But I think now RMC is moving towards making this ethical committee compulsory to all of us. And with the help of this ethical committee, this issue of ethics and conflict of interest could be minimized. And the next one is skill. Of course, to do this translational research, it requires translational research skills such as knowledge of media, cultural sensitivities, professional practice, synthesizing, development, policy development. And all these, is not restricted to just research skill that we learn, particularly in methodology, research methodology. So it requires more skill than the official research methodology skills, because bearing in mind that we are engaging with so many levels of beneficiaries. And last but not least, collaboration also poses certain issues here. And last week we have been exposed. In fact, this is always our model at the KPT level, that is quadruple helix model to involve academia, civil society, industry, and government in our collaboration. And to gather all these collaborators are not easy, and that is actually one of the challenges. So the conclusion is that, what do we do in UiTM? How do we strengthen our translational research? I think number one, we all of us must have faith in our goal. UiTM mission is to lead the development of agile, professional Bumiputras to state-of-the-art curriculum and impactful research. And all of us across all disciplines, it doesn't matter what field that we come from, SNT or social sciences and humanities, we have to internalize this mission, and this is our team goal. And we have 35 campuses and 21 faculties, and we are actually very, very strong if we know how to leverage our strength, transcending all fields. And this is also why we need to work together. And UiTM is on the right track to translate research into practice, to translate concept into classroom. When we envisage, or internalize our education 5.0, Prof. Zol has highlighted the importance of being motivated lecturers, and this is what is the spirit of education 5.0 is all about. That is to inspire educator to provide enriching experiential learning experience for our students. Representing social science and humanities, I'm saying that there are so many rooms of opportunities for us to leverage our strength, to bridge academia with the practice world and bring it into our classroom. And all of us has been exposed with evidence-based teaching experience, and we as lecturers, whether we realize it or not, we prepare our teaching materials. That is research, and we impart the latest development of our field. We have to do research, and whether we realize it or not, we are all researchers, sama ada kita sedar ataupun tidak. And when we adopt what we call alternative assessment with our students in our class, that requires our student to do more research, that is research, and that is what one of the processes in translating research into something practical that is beneficial for our students. So I think yang paling penting is for us to work together to create this culture and mindset. And I think now we have so many internal grants, matching grants, and we talk about high impact community work. And I think our FYP should not stop at completing the research and be graded. We should ask what's next, how to share, these FYP findings with the community. And if all of us, have that kind of mentality, like UiTM is going to be the renowned university in the world. So bersempena dengan Coffee Talk with our TNCPI ini, I think it's time to wake up and smell the coffee, because it's just like magical clean potion. You know how good it will be after the first sip, and definitely you will surely be coming back for more. So I will stop here. Back to you, Aisha. Thank you.
Okay, before I move on, Puan Naziana,
Has to mute. Yeah.
can you mute Naziana? Okay, thank you so much. Sorry for the interruption. I hope other participants also can do a favor by maybe muting our conversation. Maybe we can have that Q&A sessions afterwards, after our second session. Okay, all right, thank you so much, Prof. Okay, I can see that this is a very, very interesting topic on translational research, because I am myself from Faculty of Art and Design. So we are from the social sciences community. So we tend to see that research is not our biggest strength if we don't know something about translational research or project-based research, things like that. Because most of us, most of the time, we think that putting on a research or conducting a research is actually to find the gap in between. We want to find the gap in between, but we tend to forget what happened to the research or what happened to the knowledge generated by the research. We tend to forget about that part actually. We keep on asking, find the gap, find the gap, find the gap. So we tend to forget about the other part, which is the benefits of the research. Okay, so this is a very, very good insights and point of view from our PM Hartini. So we want to know the impact of the research and how our findings can benefit or be shared to others. Okay, so I can conclude there is the 5 steps in conducting translational research. So the first thing is reviewing existing research. Okay, second is to disseminate or finding the research to make them more accessible. Thank you to Peter for this part, because I can see that most of the time my WhatsApp group, there will be a lot of input from Peter. So something that we didn't realize or we didn't conduct previously before the PKP. So some things we can see there's advantages, or some things that we tend to maneuver every time we stumble upon problems during COVID or during the pandemic. Okay, and then to engage with wider community, as we all know, UiTM is the biggest institute in Asia, and then we have to strengthen our collaboration. This one goes out to the point from Prof. Zakia just now. Okay, and last but not least, measuring our impact. Okay, how our research being accepted by all beneficiaries. Okay, and I like this one point from PM Ratini, whereby you said about translate concept into classroom. This is what people tend to put a close eye also when we talk about professional lecturer. Okay, we tend to think research is just doing a research, but we did not try to apply it in our classroom. This is the biggest, I think the biggest thing when we talk about what is the importance of research for lecturers. We can teach, of course we can teach, but are we teaching new knowledge, new information? Are we applying our knowledge to the students? This is one thing that we need to start to look upon to. Okay, thank you so much again. So, Alhamdulillah, we have ended our first forum session, mainly reaching to the capacity of building, motivation, sharing, and finally how research can impact to beneficiaries. Okay, so now let's move on to our next session with more interesting insights on research, on how research can heighten the professionalism amongst lecturers. So coming back to Professor Dr. Haji Muhammad Nasir, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, Alhamdulillah, Prof. Kita kembali. Alright, so moving on to the next session. This is going to be another set of questions, which I think is a very, very wonderful insights or wonderful knowledge. We have talked about motivation, capacity building. Now, lecturers and visits from collaborating academics from the UK, Europe, Asia, and joint research programs are specific initiative that has been undertaken in order to consolidate not just Mitran's position, but UiTM in general, okay, as an advisory within global reach. So, Prof. Nasir, how important is research actually in the promotion exercise of a lecturer?
Thank you, Aisha, for the question. I take a pause a moment because you really pose a very relevant question. I think amidst everything that we talked this morning, you pose a gem because I think there are two sides of promotion. One from the organization side, from the university side, and the other one is from our side as lecturers. And along the years, I've been participating in the committees that look after the recommendation for promotion. Normally, we look through the application, and if the application are okay, then we put a recommendation to the interview panel to interview candidates. This is for 54 Professor Madhya, Associate Professor, and also Professor. Now, I think from 2012, I think in our university, promotion to senior lecturer is automatic for PhD holders. And those without PhDs, now you got to go through, no, sorry, this is 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Those without PhD will be time-based, 13 years, I think, you got to wait.
Yes.
And from that 52, then you can go either 54, 56, or VK7 through specific measures. So I think this is not really issue. The promotion is considered in most institution or organization as a reward system. Is from the organization point of view, they want to be grateful for their staff. They want to reward your staff. And of course, there are many experiments. I think way back from 1800, Pavlov do experiment regarding the, the dogs experiment. This regarding the how people or how being person we are motivated, inspired by rewards, by recognition of our effort. So I think in UiTM we have exercises the promotional scheme for so many years, I think from the beginning. But for over 10 years, we are now practicing promotion based on 7 criteria. I think most people are aware that we look at the criteria of teaching and supervision. That's number 1. Number 2 is research and publication. Number 3 is consultation and expertise. Number 4 is innovation, commercialization, and entrepreneurship. Number 5 is our services to the university, to students, and to communities. Number 6 is awards and rewards we obtain along the years. And finally is our credibility in terms of leadership and also personal characters. So on top of all that parameters in UiTM, promotion for associate professor and professor call for the graduation of postgraduate students, be it the equivalent master by research or master by research. And for professor is by having PhD student graduated from our supervision. So to me, when Aisha posted that question regarding how important is research for promotion, I should say that in public universities in Malaysia, because I think UiTM follow the guideline from the ministry, from KPT, similar to the other university, except for the RU, they of course beef up their criteria. But I was following the criteria, and in fact, we gave example to the ministry that we allow for the 4 tracks of promotion. So embedded as the, I think, compulsory requirement for the promotion is that the ability or the success in graduating those masters or PhD students, the underlying factor is actually research. So this important also flow back into the several part of the requirement in the form that we submitted for the promotion exercise. And actually along the years, I observed sometimes, even though there are guidelines and instruction available to fill up the form, but there are still confusion regarding the contribution, the basic contribution that we need to have to be able to be recognized as qualified for the promotion. And generally, I think doesn't matter which track we opted for, either track 1, teaching and supervision, track 2, research, track 3 is professional, track 4 is institutional leadership. All those compulsory requirement is that every single one require us to have a referee index publication. That's without denying. And where does this come from? How can we publish in a referee index publication if research are not be done? And the last, Dr. Hatini expounded very well just now, the nature of research, translating that research, and one of the foremost important thing is getting into publication. And then we translate that into practices for the benefit of students, university, and community. So that brings back the idea that to be professional about it, we need to enhance our skill research. And this can be acquired. Nobody born a genius researcher. I think we can harp on this characteristic of being good researcher, and also finding grant to accord the research endeavors. So coming back to the, for example, many people seem to be getting the shortcut ways of promotion by counting the minimum requirement. Of course, we can fulfill the minimum requirement for the promotion, but there's the other big major hurdle in our effort to get promoted, which is the interview. In the interview, even though on paper we might have so many publications, so many research, so many attributes, but if we cannot handle the interview session, then that might fail the whole effort to get promoted. And that's why I think the three panel just now talking about motivation, impacts of KPIs, endeavors of research participation, getting to be good with student. So all that, if we take it into a positive perspective, then during the interview that will come out. Of course, there are sessions where people go for coaching for the interviews, and there are professionals who do coaching for interview. But to me, the easiest one, if we want to be professional about it, we really practice it. That means being a lecturer, being a researcher, being a community serving personality or person, we enlist that, and anytime we are posted the question regarding our attributes, we can easily answer to that. But the main problem most of the times that we lack of the personal organizational skill in developing ourselves, be it to be the best lecturer ever, the best researcher ever, or the best person in promoting community services or translating our research into the community. We seem not to have the proper time to accord ourselves to such training or such self-development. And nowadays, there are many opportunities to do that. In fact, I think the whole session today, I'm learning a lot from the other three panels. And I'm sure the audience, you can capture many gems from the other three speakers. I'm not sharing much gem here. What I'm sharing is standard thing. Answering question by Aisha regarding the importance of research. Yes, but then it's not as simple as answering yes. It's actually a complicated issue. It's not straightforward. And as Aisha mentioned, and I think Hatini also got Aisha in front. So Dr. Hatini mentioned, both Aisha mentioned that, the capability to be good in the attribute of research. And this is not the same across our spectrum, SNT and both of you from social sciences. It doesn't carry the same weight, the same perspective, and the same interpretation. So now, coming to promotion, these are the complicated issues, the complex issues. But the university tried to generalize things so that people can easily understand. But in general, the university want every academics do research. And if you are from the social science and humanities research, there are ways to do research. For example, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember one of my old friend in AD. I call him Professor Cartoon.
Prof. Mulyadi.
Sorry, if Prof. Mulyadi wrong or there is his son or daughters in the audience, I'm sorry to call him that. But he was okay for us to call him that. I think Aisha agree with me. When I say Professor Cartoon, then immediately you know.
Yeah.
So he was one of the champion people saying that there are ways and means to do research for AD. I mean, not only for SNT, you can count things easily. You don't have to go into qualitative research. You can do quantitative research. But then, of course, qualitative research, there are many ways. And in fact, in SNT, we do qualitative research and we apply fuzzy logic, for example. Fuzzy is not very quantitative. Fuzzy is very fuzzy. It's very qualitative. So then, based on the topic that we're talking about today, I think if everybody pay attention to the role and duty that we're supposed to carry out as a lecturer, then we command ourselves, we motivate ourselves, inspire ourselves. If we don't know, then we learn how to do research. And the last conclusion by Dr. Hatini just now, and what's summarized by Aisha just now, that from that ability to bring the research content that we achieved, coming back to classroom, that's very beneficial. I remember when Prof. Hami was the NCA, he challenged everybody in the Senate and everybody, I think deans related to their faculties, that if you can prove in teaching your student, you shift the student achievement from this group and grades to more advanced grades, you can document that, you can share that and be recognized in the minimum in a small, in a seminar, in a, or for that matter, as a paper in a index journal, then you can be rewarded as a high impact achievement. So he challenged, I think if he's in the audience, I think maybe my saying of the word will be different from what he said, but he challenged then, one of the challenge as lecturer is actually to be able to translate our experience, especially from research. And in fact, until today, personally, even though now I'm in Mitran, my latest assignment with my student is translating what Mitran is doing as R&D and our activity with the agencies in industries out there to bring back to the student to understand. For example, we're talking about Smart Eco Resort City Cameron Highland now. This is one of our major project in Mitran. And this project not only cover research and development, we cover policy making, we cover concept papers, we cover proposal to government agencies involving JKR, local council, the 12 Malaysian plan, and the Pahang State Government National Plan. So we are involving not only research in the particular area of transportation, logistics, and supply chain, but we go beyond. So this expertise, I'm partly bringing back to my student personally. So it actually depend on your how do you look at things. So for example, many years ago in the faculty, when I do a lot of research on control system, artificial intelligence, and also looking at the signal processing. So I was teaching, for example, subject of instrumentation. So part of the subject is required to talk about IoTs. At that time, it's not mentioned IoTs, but devices and system. So of course, when you bring in the thing that you found from your research, you don't have to refer to many books. The book will be in your head. So when you are good in certain research area related to your subject matter, then you can coin out question for the final exam from your head rather than referring to any books. So now, coming back to the promotion, with all those experience, for example, track teaching, many people go for that track because they say, oh, this is easy for associate professor, require only 4 papers. And the papers just referee paper, don't have to be indexed. So it's simple. But the compulsory things behind there is that what is your major publication related to research, related to classroom, related to teaching and learning. So doesn't matter where you're coming from, either SNT or social science for that matter, or medicine for that matter. If you chose that track, what are your major achievement, even textbook or publication that are related to teaching and learning, either being used in the class as a textbook or being referred to the class as a practice. And that's actually make it a requirement for research. It's not easy because everybody's teaching. The first parameter that all lecturers are teaching, but what is making you exceptional? So that's sometimes people fail to see that. People say, okay, I have 10 papers, better than the requirement. I have 10 journal paper, but most of the time, these 10 papers are related to our core area of expertise, not the teaching and learning. This is for track 1. So if you're going for track 1 for promotion, make sure you have some pedagogical papers that related to if you are engineers, then you have that engineering most effective ways in delivering your curriculum to your class. You measure that, you publish that. But track number 2, purely research. But the issues here, because in UiTM we have 14 excellence centers, 1 HICO and then 13 COE. So now the rule in UiTM, if you are appointed to be in the excellence centers, the promotion for track 2 is a bit different from other people in the faculties and at other places. So if you are in COE, requirement for research credibility is much higher. For example, if I'm not mistaken, for promotion to professors, the compulsory requirement for index journal paper, I think for those in COE, require 18 numbers minimum. And for those in PTJs, faculties and others, only 15. So, and similarly, there are some other differences in the requirement. But generally, track 2 is fully defined. That's why to me, if our staff, if you all aiming for promotion, you have your radar locking on promotion, then track 2 is very easy if you're really proficient in research. That means you have students you supervise, you can publish many papers. You can relate your papers and your opinion through many conferences, many proceedings, and then you can relate that into your expertise. You become judges, you become examiners, you become the reference for many organizations. So that fulfill your expertise. That's parameter number 3. And then from there, you participated in many exhibitions. You won many awards. You send some of your invention to patents, copyrights, and some of your products can be commercialized. So you easily can fulfill parameter number 4, which is the innovation, commercialization, and entrepreneurship. And I always imagine and I observe many people who are good in those, they can easily contribute to community. They can easily command attention from community. They can offer their services for community. I witnessed it when I was leading the faculty. I was looking over my faculty staff, and I can easily identify those who are good in certain niche area. They can offer that sharing with community anytime. Even though tomorrow we need their help, we say tonight, we call up, say tonight, please can tomorrow you help the faculty in doing this? Is it no problem? Well, I don't know, behind the scene, they might be, feeling not comfortable with my requirement, but then out front they say, okay, no problem. And sometimes we have organization out there, they are willing to partake with a large sum of amount of funding to help run a community service involving students. And sometimes, for example, my robotic team, I call mine when I was studying. Now it's no more mine. I mean, our staff in the college now. So last time, we have few good robotic teams, for example, and they can just out of thin air. Sorry to say thin air because I didn't know how they planned before or what's the experience, the nitty-gritty of their preparation. But out of thin air, they say, okay, no, sorry. They say, yes, we can do this for a large number of students. We can translate our research experience into building a mini robots for a student in a short time. So this comes from the efforts by the lecturer. So that fulfill criteria number 4 in promotion: innovation, commercialization, and entrepreneurship, and that cascade into these services. And if you are doing that, that's why people say that productive person will be always busy. Busy because in UiTM and all this year with me, the dean, we got 3 deans and myself as director. There's so many official functions we have to attend to, so many meetings we have to attend to, so many papers we have to go through: JK IPA paper, JK IPU papers, Senate papers, exam papers, grading papers, so all papers, publication papers. So you imagine, where do you have time to pay attention to your own personal career development? So you require really proper focus. But what I'm saying here, that by being involving in all those things, you will be recognized as your services to the university. And by sharing that with community, you will be recognized as your commitment, successful commitment to the community. So you'll be getting all this recognition, and that will fulfill your criteria number 5 for promotion. If you keeping up with what I'm saying, you see that the source I'm saying here coming from your brevity in endeavoring your self-research and publication and innovation. That's coming from there. So finally, criteria number 6, if I'm not mistaken, will be the rewards award. I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of rewards and award. I think Prof. Zakia, I know her. She's sorry to use the word Prof. Zakia, she's a kayu person. Sorry, Prof. Zakia. Because why kayu person? Because she's well versed in the area. I mean, timber boards, something like that. So, and she get many rewards. Not only reward, people can easily partake their money for her to endeavor into certain consultancy project or research project. Because people know, people can rely on her reputation in that area. So she'll be rewarded with that. And that will fulfill our criteria number 6, which is the awards. And of course, before long, your LMPT will be so high that the faculty or the university will be rewarding with you with anugerah kecemerlangan, anugerah academy. And I think Prof. Zakia got the reward from academic science. And of course, KBT, many of our staff enjoying rewards from KPT in terms of money and also certificates. So that you see will fulfill criteria number 6. And finally, with all those, minding your publication, avoiding plagiarism, cooperating with your friend in a good team, collaborating well with internally and external organization, working well with international bodies, international university, that will bond in you a leadership skill. You'll be matured in terms of personal quality. You'll be having high integrity because you make sure your publication is away from plagiarism, and you are co-opting your teammates, your colleagues into your co-researchers, your co-publications, your co-supervisors. So this is bringing more people into the area of success, research success. So that criteria number 7, which is academic leadership and also personal quality, you will have that in yourself, your own personality. So you see my argument here, sorry to put it as argument, because I always like research, and I think there's a book by Boyd, Prof. Kamal really promote this book. I think when I was with him, he mentioned in Senate, I think one of the sitting with him, he mentioned that he came back from a course from Stanford, and in fact later on we sent several of our staff to be trained by Stanford, and one of the professors from Stanford came to our university talking about scholarly behavior or scholarly characteristic. And of course, Stanford, based on their scholarly behavior characteristic by definition of 3. But the books by Boyd, I think Ernest Boyd, if I'm not mistaken, define scholarship in 4 domains. And every domain is based on research. And the domain offered by Ernest or by Boyd is that one and foremost, of course, the research in education, and then research in the core area, and then the research that relate to community and services, and of course, research that relate to organization. I think if I'm not mistaken, I may put it wrongly, but if you refer to the book, you'll see that the scholarly behavior or the scholarship of people, especially in universities, must be based on research. That means we advance our know-how, our knowledge by doing more research. Aisha, so a lengthy response to your question. Is it research important for promotion? So now I hope I convince everybody that yes, research is important for promotion. And most people who take track 2 for research, their ranking in citation, in H-index, in Prisma, very, very high. And same time, their personalities also excellent. I mean, because you are involved with many collaborative work, teamwork, helping students to graduate, that will turn out you into a good personalities. So with that, Aisha, I think, well, people can argue with me. It's just my proposal there. So that's my conclusion, Aisha. Yes, solidly, to get promoted in UiTM, you must do research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. Nasir. Okay, so what I can conclude here, when we talk about promotion by doing research, it's not actually just as mentioned by PM Hartini just now. Talking about research is it does not end there. It never ends there. So usually research, when we are doing it, we have to keep motivating ourselves. We have to keep motivating our subordinates, our colleagues to do it together. So while we are conducting our research, automatically, regardless we are doing research relating to academics or we are doing research relating to community, it will automatically build an excellent personality of that academician, of that lecturer. So that is how or why research is one of the requirements for promotion exercise, actually. That is the beauty behind it. People maybe see it as just a requirement, but it actually goes beyond. And the beyond part is, as mentioned by Prof. Nasir, is to create an excellent personality so that the knowledge does not end there. The knowledge will be spread.
Aisha, That's a gem. You summarize my many minutes of talk into 2 sentences. That's great.
Thank you, Prof. Because I would like to relate, because our topics today is very interesting, because I think most lecturers, young lecturers like myself, we tend to neglect research because of our requirements to do other things, and we think that research is just another rules in the book that we have to comply, but we forgot to see the beauty behind it, how it can help us to build a good personality out of research, actually, because we are building teamwork, so we are building collaborations, as mentioned by Prof. Zakiah. We are not living alone. We are not standing solely alone now when you're doing research. So thank you very much, Prof, for that good highlights on what is the importance of research for a promotion exercise. Okay, I think many of us can learn from that input. Okay, now we move on to the next question. I would like to invite Prof. Zul for the other question. So we are in the pandemic. Okay, we are in the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. I think since 18th of March 2020, I still have that in my head. Okay, because we have been working from home ever since, actually. That is a long duration. Okay, 18th of March 2020. Now we are 13th of August 2021. Okay, so it has caused major disruptions to our daily life, with more than 2 billion people worldwide isolated in their homes. We as researchers are also subject to similar situation. We tend to either forget when to take a pause while doing our research, because we don't have our colleagues, or as mentioned in Prof. Nazila, our subordinates to support us in between. So it can also lead to mental health, or worse, we can be a very unproductive researcher. Okay, so Prof. Zul, can you share some tips how a researcher can practice a balanced lifestyle and at the same time encourage research despite the pandemic?
Thank you, Ms. Aisha, for the questions. Yeah, it is indeed true. These days, the living challenge is very much different compared to in 2019, before COVID, whereby these days everything need to be restricted. Everything in our life is being restricted because of COVID. And that in one way to another will create imbalance of ourself, and therefore it may develop a kind of stress to everybody. Okay, so but I think life must go on, whether we like it or not. People nowadays start thinking, bila lah COVID nak habis kan? But if you look at the number, it's increasing.
Yes.
Hari ni 21,000 kan? So that's it. Whatever it is, we may predict that COVID is still long more to go. It will be a few years more to go. So all of us have to stay with it, and make do with the capacity and ability that we have in hand now. Okay, now, as what in the previous panelist, Prof. Nasir, kan ada cakap pasal kenaikan pangkat, Yeah, everybody in the organizations, sebagai orang yang bekerja kan, antara fungsi kita bekerja adalah untuk mendapatkan untuk mendapatkan kebaikan dari segi ekonomi keluarga, okay, to enhance our family economic status by having a better promotions. Jadi from the day you enter the institution as a teacher, as a worker kan, along the way, throughout the time kan, you will improve your work and you expect to be having a better promotion lah, because that may result with the better financial status of your family later through kenaikan pangkat itu. But in the same note kan, dengan KPI yang banyak, dengan kekangan yang ada kan, what to do, how to move on, I would like to refer to the basic principle of human body, because we are human anyway. The principle of human body that we call the concept of homeostasis. Okay. Our body, inside our body consists of numbers of organs, internal organ, the heart, the liver, the lungs, the kidney, and all that. Every individual organs in our body function on their own role. Okay? The role of the heart is to pump blood. The role of the heart is to act as a mechanical biological pump. Okay? The role of the kidney is to filter blood. The role of the lung is to get air, process air, to bring in oxygen into our body and process, send the oxygen to the entire cells. Even a single cell of our body require oxygen to stay alive because we are living organisms. Okay? The functions of the digestive system is to digest food that we eat every day into something molecular nucleus that we can absorb into the body and transform into energy to stay alive. Okay? Tapi in the same note, when we are being exposed with hindrance, living hindrance, we must find a way how to make some point that we can avoid from having unwanted stressful. The body is very unique, Aisha, in the sense of that the body, apart from during their duty as what it is, they work in concert from one to another. Masing-masing berfungsi secara bersama-sama as an organisation in the body, and will alter their functions accordingly to the changes in the surrounding. Kalau berlaku perubahan di persekitaran, maka tubuh badan kita juga akan melakukan perubahan. Bagi menyesuaikan dengan perubahan yang ada di persekitaran itu, bagi mengekalkan keseimbangan tubuh badan kita ini. Bagi mengekalkan badan kita ini dalam keadaan yang sejahtera, sihat walafiat. Sebarang gangguan yang ada di luar itu, sekiranya tidak dapat ditampung oleh badan kita ini, maka tidak akan berlakunya keseimbangan tubuh badan kita ini, maka sistem homeostasis akan terganggu, maka tercetuslah penyakit. Okay, please allow me to give some simple analogy from a diagram that I have printed. Ini.
Okay.
This is balance, isn't it?
Yes.
This is mesin timbang yang lama lah kan. Sekarang ni semuanya digital. But I like to use this diagram when I teach my students kan. Timbang piring yang kiri dan kanan ini sama. They are all balanced. Okay, they are all in equal levels. Okay, and this is called equilibrium state ataupun homeostasis balance. Sebarang gangguan yang ada pada timbang ini, sekiranya kalau tidak diseimbangkan, maka dia akan bergerak ke atas ke bawah. Seperti ini. Okay. This end is heavier than the other end, so this one go down, and this one on my left hand side go up, and this no longer seimbang. In this context, the body will start to adjust in accordance to the changes in the surrounding to ensure the body will stay like this all the time. For instance, blood pressure in our body in a normal state. When you are sitting now, as what you are doing now, normal blood pressure is 120/80. 120 systole, bawah ada 80 diastole. That indicate your blood pressure lah. Tapi when you're having your vigorous exercise, physical exercise, contohnya berlari, when you are having your jog, jogging, any physical exercise, kan, your heartbeat will go up. Your BP will transiently go up. Why? Because to cope the oxygen required during the physical exercise that you are doing now. And because when you're having your vigorous exercise, the body, the cells need more oxygen to cope with the physical exercise that you are doing that time. And to increase the demand of the oxygen requirement, you will having a more breathing. Normal breathing is 12 to 16 breath per minute. Semasa kita jogging, kita akan meningkatkan lagi pernafasan, betul? Heartbeat also will be increasing. The blood pressure also will transiently increase. All that will work in concert to cope with the requirement for the a particular time. Semuanya meningkat, pernafasan meningkat, degupan jantung meningkat, pernafasan the metabolism will also increase to cope with the requirement for the a particular time. But once you stop doing your vigorous exercise, when you stop jogging, for instance, all the increased parameters will gradually go down and return back to normal. Balik. So meaning that having that philosophy, Aisyah, having that principles, we can apply to our life, bahawa should we are exposed to certain living challenges that we feel that we are not cope enough to move on, try to make a momentary stoppage. Try to make a pause for a while. Try to retreat yourself from the a particular situations for a while. Take a break. Have some rest. Why? Because we are human. We are living organisms. Okay? We are during the periods of retreat at rest. What happens is that actually your body will start to reorganize back. Mentally and physically will start to reorganize back. To rejuvenate back all this deterioration that happened during stress exposure itu, so that the body can be able to cope for the future next challenges. Itu pentingnya kita kena ada rehat. Seperti apa yang dicipta oleh Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala, di dunia ini ada malam, ada siang. Waktu siang untuk bekerja, malam untuk berehat. Make sense to everyone? Kan? Kalau kita bekerja di siang hari, malam bekerja juga kan, you have less sleep, you fall sick. The sickness is actually an indicator that your body tells you that you need some momentary stoppage. And this is called homeostatic balance. Well, living challenges is unavoidable, it's inevitable. And it is us that we have to ensure that when we have to take break. Failure in determining when to take break is the result of having burnout, which these days ramai orang macam tu. Tanpa mengira at what level of yourself in the society. You are school pupils, you are university student, you are lecturer, you are a leader, you are the dean, whatsoever kan. Inability to determine and balance yourself in response to a living challenge that you have every day, may result with burnout. And don't compare yourself with others. Everybody wearing different shoes. You know yourself best. Nobody else knows about yourself. Only you know yourself best. You know what is your capability. You know at what level yourself can move on. Don't compare yourself. Rezeki Allah beri di mana-mana, Allah akan bagi rezeki kepada kita. Trust that, But in the same note, Aisyah, if I can share some thought which I always share with my staff about, well, these days we are exposed with many things, the KPI demand and all that, meeting deadline, kadang-kadang is unavoidable, kadang it's really, pressure. But always remember this, Aisyah and other members, if I can read aloud, grapes, buah anggur, grapes must be crushed to make wine. We don't drink wine anyway. Diamonds form under pressure. Olives are pressed to release oil. Seed grow in darkness. Meaning that whenever you feel crushed, under pressure, pressed or in darkness, you are in a powerful place to transformation. Trust the process. Setiap apa yang berlaku ini ada hikmah. Everything happen with reason, Allah tidak akan menguji hamba-hambanya melainkan dengan keupayaan yang dia boleh tanggung, kerana Allah bukan zalim. Trust the process. From Nasir have mentioned about naik pangkat and all that. Yeah, it is true. our aim basically, all of the lecturer here, if they are here, try to make aim in yourself, kan? In the end of your career, towards a retirement, kan, you must at least get an AP. Jika bukan full professor. Kalau kita lihat keluk taburan normal kan, dumbbell, if you study statistics kan, there are shift to the left and shift to the right, do it the extreme. The extreme to the right ini dah about 5%, about 10% like that, is among the cream. For the whole population kan, secara statistically kan, akan ada small number will be possess a professorship upon pension lah, upon apa nama ni retirement kan. In the statistic point of view, about 5-10%. The majority will be the major chunk of the population, whole population. Put yourself, kan, I must get an AP before I retire. If not a P, work with it. But don't stress yourself. If you stress yourself, an ability to cope all these living challenges, or you push too much and the balance has been disrupted, you will burn out, which happen these days by many people. So I think that would be the one of the, I think that's the way I do for myself. And find way how to distress yourself, kan, hujung minggu kan, keluar dengan family, kan, nak makan-makan, but now cannot go out anyway. Make something that you like, you are so bogged down Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 with your daily duty, and do something else, nothing to do with your academic, waktu di luar kerja. I always tell my staff, kan, you have to work hard, optimize your time 9 to 5. After 5 is your family time. It's for yourself. Sabtu Ahad kan is for your family. Don't neglect them. Because how hard you work for your organizations, kan, once you are in trouble, you will never be taken care of. Your family will take care of you. You can stay in organization, you will be mourned by of your disability and whatnot for 1 week. People are going to stay for 1 week and say, condolence and all that. After 1 week, you will be forgotten. But your family will stay with you forever. My moral is actually not to being demotivated, not to have a sense of belonging to the organization. No. Tapi we are human, we have limitations. Remember this, inshallah you will be okay. Mentally, physically, and maintaining your health status. Homeostasis. Do something else. Kan kalau kita dah bogged down. Take some retreat. Talk to your superior that I need some retreat. He also, your superior also human being. They understand that. They also possess certain levels of living difficulty as well, pertaining to many issues. I think that's I can share with to you and to everyone the concept of homeostasis, balanced lifestyle. Give right for yourself. Badan kita juga ada hak yang dituntut oleh badan kita kepada kita. Remember that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. Zulhairi. So we can see that living challenges is very unavoidable actually. Okay, despite the COVID-19 or without the COVID-19, there will always be challenges along the way. Okay, but I can see that when you have a goal to reach something, and always trust the process, inshallah, the homeostasis point will always be balanced. Inshallah, that part. Okay,
Yes.
Thank you so much, Prof. Right, moving on to Prof. Dr. Zakia. Okay, again, it's not pointing out to College of Engineering. College of Engineering is just a method of phase regarding collaborations in research. Okay, it can be seen that once we have collaborated, it is in a very good position to offer customized programs to various engineering agencies or to various different researchers or talents across major disciplines to form education and research. Okay, so this networking is definitely would be a great experience in navigating UiTM towards becoming a globally renowned institution. So with that, Prof. Zakia, based on your experience, can you share some of the great findings, websites, or any fundings method for our researchers out there?
Thank you, Ponesha, again. All right. When talking about research, everybody will have a different experience. Yeah. So when asking for me to share my experience in finding the research funding, yeah. To give some tips, sometimes it works for me, maybe it not works for others. Yeah. All right. But basically, I think based on my view on others' finding research, first of all, I think everybody needs to know what types of grant that they are trying to apply for, whether it is industry grant or government grant or industry consultancy, or it is contract research and so on, yeah, whether it is at national level or international level. In fact, RMC has been working very, very hard advertising different grants, yeah, available whenever available, whether it's from government or from non-government agency. They always try to advertise, and in fact, they even conduct workshop or webinar to help lecturers to get the funding. Yeah, because in order for us to do research, definitely we need money. You can't do good research findings without good funding, yeah, good amount of funding. Yeah, so that is most important. That is the demand for some of our lecturers. That's why we have category of potential lecturers, because they are not having any grant, even though they have tried many times. Yeah, submitting the forms for FRGS, ARGS, whatever, you name it. The grant that we offered, even at the RMC. The university grant also, okay? They tried very hard, but sometimes they cannot get it. And then we just wonder why we cannot get it. Yeah? Is that you don't know how to fill up the form, or is it the area that you want to work on is already obsolete, or there's no mentoring in advising you doing the proposal? All that plays important factors, yeah, in order for us to get the funding. Even let's say we have very good proposal, but we cannot get, sometimes that is the luck. That is just serahkan pada Allah, yeah. But then we have to try very hard. Now, based on my experience, but now I think it's quite different. The scenario previously, because I started doing my research in 2000, yeah, in early 2000, in 1999, something like that, yeah, early 2000. It's already more than 30 years, 20 years now, yeah. So the scenario or the situation are different than now, okay, and especially now, yeah, during the pandemic, COVID pandemic, it's much more difficult for us to get the funding. Yeah, but then there are still funding available international and also at the national level. However, I have to advise myself and also whoever in this webinar, we cannot depend so much on the national funding, KPT funding, or mostly funding, and also the university funding. We must be able to go beyond that. Yeah, there are a lot of industry funding available. Actually, it's just that we need to know how to find it. Yeah, in order to do that, besides working on national funding, which is capital funding, because for the capital funding, your research area must be able to match with the socio-economic opportunity, national priority area. Sometimes the lecturer will just came back from PhD. Okay, they have their own area. Maybe before that, when they went for the PhD, they are not mapping the area of research that they are working on for their PhD to the national priority area, and whether the output will be focused on certain socio-economic opportunity. So when they come back, it's difficult for them to continue with that area of research because it doesn't map with the national priority area. Okay, so when we apply for national capital funding, sometimes it's quite difficult for us to get it, yeah, especially at the Tech 1, Tech 2, and all that, the current research funding. Okay, so it's very important when you want to embark into any research, especially to the young one now. For the seniors, I think they already built their own reputation. I'm not so worried about that. Yeah, but for the new generation now, look back on your PhD work. If you can map it with the national priority area, then you can able to expand it and identify the relevant industries, and then be able to identify the application, yeah, whether for the community, for the government agency, or for the policy, or for the specific industries. That will be very, very important. Yeah, I think that is very important. If not, we will not be able to expand our research area. Okay, so of course we need to know how to conduct the research. Okay, some of us started working with UiTM with masters. Okay, without even doing masters by research. Maybe again our masters is masters by coursework. Yeah, so we don't have experience in doing research. So therefore, we need a mentor. Yeah, we need mentors to help us in conducting the research in order to do the proposal and so on. Yeah. So I'm really encouraged of mentor mentee because I've experienced that. I have a very good mentor. Yeah. And then along the way, we need to build our research expertise and reputation. Okay, in order for us to build our research expertise and reputation, of course, we have to start our research from fundamental and then go into applied and then translational research and so on. Yeah. It will take some time for us to build our reputation, to gain the recognition from the industry. But it can be done. It can with a very strategic, with a certain strategy. Yeah. When I first started my research work long time ago, I focused on one area. I really focused on one area. But in the beginning, in the first few years, I focused in one area. But after that, I was able to diversify it into other areas, other related areas. Then after that, we'll go through, try to collaborate with certain industries. In order for us to get recognition from the industries, it's by conducting workshops, by conducting seminars. So then from there, they know what you are working on and so on. So I think it's very important for us to do that because this is important because sometimes it's difficult for us to get the grant from the KPT. It's difficult for us to get the grant from the university. Yeah, very high competition. Yeah, even though sometimes we prepare good proposal, RMC submitted, but when go through the panel find it is not very significant. Even though there's no mistake at all because I am experienced with some panel for e-science. I'm the e-science panel. We can see that the proposal, there's nothing wrong with the proposal, but the lecturers map it wrongly with the national priority area and also the FEO. Okay, that's why, because also when we map it wrongly to the national priority area and we say, the panel may be not relevant to your work. So they will not be able to see the importance of your work. For example, like my timber, if I put it under concrete or that related material, construction material, the category that one, the panel will only expert in concrete, in steel, and that building material, but not in timber. So they will not find my proposal significant. Sometimes it can happen that way. So filling up the form, finding the research, writing the proposal is very, very important, and mapping it with the national priority area also very important. Okay. Now, besides that, once you have your area of research, you cannot work on that one for a long time. You must be able to expand your research area. Then, and be able to make it interdisciplinary. You must know which are the industry related to it. Then it will open up more opportunity for us to get the funding. I think I've shared my experience in the previous talk under Renew, where my KPT funding and mostly is only 2 million. But then my national and industry funding is actually more than 60 million. Okay, I'll get more funding from national and also industry funding. Okay, one of the experience that I have is through teaching. Okay, I'm teaching timber design. When I'm teaching timber design, I'm referring to Malaysian standards. Okay, and S544 Part 2 or Part 3, whatever. But internationally, the standards change. They have gone through, they change into different methods of design. Yeah, they change into different methods, into limit state design. So our standards cannot support that. So that is how we can create a new research area from teaching. Then once we do research, that one can bring back into teaching. So that open up an area. So I can see that is priority area for the nation. Okay, if not, we are very outdated in terms of design. So we cannot design new material anymore. We can only design based on solid timber. We cannot design for engineered timber product, namely glue lamp, CLT, and so on. So without changing that standard, we cannot go advanced. Yeah, the engineer can in Malaysia we cannot see any high-rise building using timber because of that standard. So because of that, I made proposal to the ministry. Okay, to change. In order for me to change, because we cannot adopt European standard and so on because of the material timber, Malaysian are different than that. So that's part my the research. Okay, an area for research. So when I make proposal, alhamdulillah, I got it for 5 million. 5 million. It's not small amount. It's 5 million in order for me to develop a standard for design timber using limit state design. You have to know how to write it, the proposal in order for you to get that amount, the large amount. Yeah. So that's my experience. From teaching, we can create a good research. Now I've done the testing. I've got the results. Now in the process of making into standard, later on I can change the syllabus. Instead of the design method using permissible stress design, I can change into limit state design. Because I have already data, I have already standards to follow. So that is an example, okay, based on experience. But in order for me to work on this area, I have to collaborate with many. Yeah, one of them is from University of Malaysia, because we know a little bit about timber. And then I work with industry. I work with DPR. I work with CIDB. I work with KPKT in the formulation of the standard. I'm working with Department of Standard Malaysia. In fact, in order for the timber to be recognized, accepted internationally, because in international standard, there are data for timbers. They also include timber from overseas. So I have been working with University of Stuttgart and also the Technical Committee of European Standard in order later on our data can be incorporated into their standards. So it can. This is how I how to develop research and do collaboration. Yeah, not only nationally and then internationally. How can that data can later on be used by the community? Yeah, by the engineer community, by the architect community, by other university, because they also have to change their standard of design. Okay, so they will adopt this standard also, all right? And then this one we also grooming new young engineers to be able to design timber later on. Okay, so that is one of the examples that I can mention here. Yeah. Okay. Besides that, besides only knowing the industry related to your area, for example, for me timber, but I also must be able to find other industry that can also contribute to this. For example, I'm working with timber, but the timber must be durable, okay, when exposed to weather. So in order to be durable, there must be chemicals to protect it. I'm not a chemist. I'm not doing chemistry, developing the coating or developing the glue, developing the fire retardant and so on. Then I can collaborate with either FSG or chemical engineering or mechanical engineering or other fields that related. And also for any company that producing fire retardant, producing coating material, producing glue material. So they open up so many things. So you cannot just focus on one. Start to think on other aspects, because there also can provide opportunity for funding. That can provide opportunity for funding. So now I'm working with one of the group company, Proban. So inshallah we'll be having funding from that. So we cannot just rely on university funding. We cannot just rely on the KPT funding or that, because there are opportunities outside there. Yeah. So that's why it's very important for us to strategize our work. Of course, when you come back from your PhD or now, it doesn't matter, right? You have been doing research all this while. Sit down, try to strategize, try to map and to look at it in the broader picture of your work. How far can you go? Where can you work with? Who can you work with? And make a map. Then from there you can see that there are opportunities for you to expand your research. Then you try to find who in the UiTM then can work with you, since you don't have enough expertise in that area. So please try to open up your mind and collaborate with others. Okay, I have experience also working with university, local university. Okay, we give proposal to them so that they can collaborate with us. But suddenly they say that they don't want to collaborate with us and use that to apply for funding. That happened, but that shouldn't kill your motivation to work further and to collaborate with others. Of course, we have to find somebody that we can trust, that easy to work with, we have good chemistry, but the only way for us to expand is by collaboration, definitely by collaboration. whether it is with internal, that's why they have interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary. Yeah, so that's the only way for us to expand. If not, your expertise will not grow. Will not grow. And when doing the mapping of our research work, we also need to look at not only the related industry, but also with the government policy, with the standard development, with the education material, and so on. Yeah, because that also will give you other perspective and also other opportunities for funding. We can also work with local authority. We can also work with Majlis Perbandaran. Anything that you already met. You already met your research area, and then you know where to approach, who to approach, to share whatever expertise that you have. You can help them in certain problem. Then there are opportunities for funding. I like to show example that I have when I got the big funding with JKR. I've used that many times. Okay, JKR have problem with roof truss. Yeah, they are using steel roof truss all this while, and then timber roof truss have a history of collapse. So I sent my proposal to JKR to help in that aspect, to come out with a new material for the roof truss construction. Because I know at that time, that is the problem. Okay, that's why we have to read, or we have to know what are the problems at the industry. Then we can write a good proposal relevant to our area of research. Definitely, because when we find industry, definitely industry that related to our work. So we know their problem, then we come up with good proposal. They will not, they will definitely agree with that. They will provide you with certain funding for that, because that is the problem. Yeah, that is the problem. I think that very important step, because in order to get funding, knowing how to write research proposal, there are so many courses have been done by UiTM. Again and again, RMC will teach us how to write good proposal, how to write problem statement, how to write, methodology, how to write a good funding, because the amount of funding also very important, because we need to justify. We cannot put too much, we cannot put too low, but will be enough for us to conduct the research. They will know whether we are trying to mark up the price. So it's very important for us to know how to write the research proposal. That's one thing, it's very important. But if you don't know, then you have to have a mentor to help you. But then the other important thing is we need to sell ourselves to the industry. But in order for us to sell ourselves to the industry must know us. How to get them know us, not through journal. They will not read journal. Definitely they will not read journal. Okay. Because journal is only scientific. They will do scientific studies on that one, based on scientific studies. So the other way is by writing books related to certain industry. Okay, how I get myself known by the industry. One is through workshop that I conducted many times, on different disciplines related to timber industries. So I conduct workshop, I will conduct seminar. Workshop is hands-on workshop. I bring them to the laboratory. I teach them how to do the test, how to manufacture, many things, So in fact, I also invited speakers from overseas through my contact. So during that seminar also, they can see that we have international collaboration. Okay, they believe in your expertise. Then when you do research, besides writing journal paper that published in Scopus Index, translate it into books, a guideline books for the industry. So when they make reference to your book, when they do manufacturing, when they do design, okay, or other something similar to that, okay, so it's much easier for us to get, they can believe you much better. So it's much easier for us to get funding from them. If we know their problem, sometimes they will come to you and say that their problem in this, so they will give you some funding without you even propose anything. Okay, that's how I get my funding. But always work with junior lecturers so that we can groom them. Work with other people also to be together, because by putting them, by bringing them, sometimes it can start more area of research. Yeah, because now I'm trying to work more on IR 4.0. So I don't have expertise on that, as I mentioned before. Definitely, I'm looking for experts from other areas, because the industry has to move towards IR 4.0. They cannot use the same machinery. They cannot use the same manual production. So in order for them to develop certain automation, they need programming. Yeah, they have to change their machinery, so they need programmer. So definitely, this is a high time for us to work towards that. And then another aspect that I would like to mention now, under pandemic here, we cannot do research at the lab. Now more on the desktop study. Okay, so software is very important. Okay, doing finite element, doing something using computer, that is the way forward now. Yeah, so I think it's high time university also have to fund some of the software for the researcher to use. Do some investment, because it's quite difficult for us to work in the laboratory. So our mode of research also have to change. We have to go more to digital. But in order to go to digital for interviewing, the relevant software is very, very important. So I hope university can help to provide us with that software, because we cannot rely anymore on the laboratory testing for the next 1 year. I'm not so sure when this pandemic will end. So we cannot just stop. This month we do the lab work, and then next month we stop. Because when we get the funding from the industry, they have the time frame to complete. 2 years, we have to complete that. So if we complete it later, it will be very bad reputation. We are not so agile during this pandemic. Okay, so that's what the vocal step means. Yeah, any ambiguity, any uncertainty, we should be able to overcome that. So we must be ready with any tools that will help us to advance our research. So because during this time also, the industry also realized that they cannot do the production based on the previous method of production. Now they must go to digital. This is the time. Industry also changing. We also need to change. There's a lot of opportunity in that area. I'm aware of that already. Yeah. Okay. I think it's time almost is already passed.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think I have to stop here. All right. Actually, I want to talk a little bit more, but I think I have to stop. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof. Zakia, for the wonderful sharing based on your experience, because getting fundings for research is not an easy, there's no easy method to get a good fundings for research, especially to get a big amount. So what I can see is that research is actually, when we want to talk about the importance and why is it there is a fundings for research, is because research is created to redesign new material in teaching. So please just don't stop at the research alone, but to use it or to apply it in our seminars or workshops. Inshallah, that will be the best method. When people see the benefits of the research, it will be the best method to get the fundings. Actually, that is one thing that I can see that what you have pointed out throughout the session, very, very interesting highlights there actually. Okay, thank you so much, Rozakia. All right, and then moving on to the final part of Rozakia mentioning regarding how we are going towards everything computerized. Okay, there is a little bit hindrance in terms of laboratories or maybe quantitative, whereby market survey, such like that. Okay, so it can be research is now being implemented or being shared not only through journals but also through social media platforms. Okay, so when we are sharing through social media platforms, research elements are a set of disciplines and integrity. It is different from like the word viral. Okay, we have a lot of words, things like viral sekarang ni, especially zaman-zaman pandemic ni, whereby everything is viral now. Okay, it can be seen the social platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram plays a significant role, especially this new normal, to exhibit research idea. However, lecturers should be able to bring themselves in the right social media and also know how to be in a suitable character in the eyes of society in professionally. Okay, so PM Hartini, how should an academic researcher approach social media platforms when giving views or sharing thoughts?
Thank you so much, Aisyah. I think dah pukul 12 lebih ni, ramai yang dah lapar. I'm trying to be very brief on this question. Just to link it back to the first session, the first round that we had just now. One of the important elements of how we could translate our research into practice and into a classroom is dissemination and collaboration. And this is where social media could actually play its role if we are using this very, very wisely. And the rise of social media has altered not just the way we interact, but also the way we share knowledge, because it allows knowledge and ideas to be disseminated at a much higher rate and larger scale. I think across geographical boundaries, and in most cases with lower cost. So many potential users of social media have emerged, and increasingly journals, scientists, researchers are using it for reaching their end users beyond geographical boundaries and engaging in education and knowledge translation. So again, we are talking about knowledge translation via social media. So there are so many platforms of social media. We have open social media platforms such as Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and now our students have been exposed to LinkedIn, and it's actually, a very good platform for them to connect with the industry. And even our experience have actually shown that quite a number of our students have managed to secure jobs, via LinkedIn. And we also have a platform that focuses on multimedia with ability to interact. For example, blogs. So many people, even researchers, have their own blogs now, podcast, YouTube channel, video chat. And then we also have what we call specific closed networks. This is, for example, Google Docs, and these are all the platform with a very specific closed setting. And when we talk about strategies, because just now Aisha was highlighted that we lecturers, in what way we should, leverage social media in order to share our research findings, for example. I think literature has highlighted several ways, and there are, if I can share at least 3 ways, what we call the social media strategy. One of the ways is what we call push strategy, and push strategy uses social media platform with quite limited engagement opportunities. And this is not to say one way, but the level of interactivity is not maximum. For example, webcasting, blogs, and distribution of visual media. So this is push strategy. We also have what we call engagement strategies, where the idea is to foster interaction between individuals. And this is where the platforms such as Twitter, online case-based or problem-based learning such as MOOC, and WhatsApp-based teaching or discussion has been infused in our research, or in sharing our findings or disseminating our research. And the last strategy is what we call blended strategy. This is where researchers combine push strategy and engagement strategy. And this is where they combine Twitters with what they call live tweeting at conferences, and it's quite normal now. Conferences, even conferences online, they always have live tweeting session. So there are so many strategies that we can actually implement in order to make use of social media wisely in the context of disseminating our research and sharing our research findings with beneficiaries. And why social media has been infused in our research process. Part of it is because of the rapid and easy dissemination of research. We cannot deny the fact that social media is one of the fastest, and yet it can actually reach, a larger scale of audience. Take, for example, in 2021, Facebook came out with its statistic that it has 1.9 billion daily active users, and imagine if we can reach out to bukannya separuh, katakanlah, a few hundred thousands, of the active users, that is actually a success. Number two, other than this easy dissemination of research, taking into account the architecture of the social media platform, we are also talking about how seamless and how flexible and fast connections and networking could actually take place. And I think, this is where the strength of our young researchers or young lecturers most welcome on board, because they belong to this generation. And with excellent way of implementing social media, these platforms can actually be leveraging, wisely, and we can maximize our strength, and I think most of the faculties, the age gap between our young professionals and senior professionals are quite huge. And this is where we can actually bring everybody together, closing the gap, and work together, in infusing what we are good at. Yeah. And then the next one, why we leverage or why we adopt social media in our research is because of the fast pace of getting data to be analyzed. This is where it involves big data analytics for prediction, for example, to predict trends, to predict outbreaks, for example, and the trending. Yes, to a certain extent, this is actually double sword. The trending, the viral thing, it is not fact based, but this can actually be. Some writers say that this can actually be some foundation or basis as to the prediction that can be done by these data analytics. And I would also like to share with you some of the challenges and pitfalls of social media, because I think it's very important for us to realize, as much as we are into social media, we're eager to accept and embrace the fact that social media could be very, very useful for us. I think there are certain matters that we need to be conscious of, and one of these challenges is in terms of the quality of the materials in the social media. So lack of peer review, filtering of quality is very important for us to internalize and scrutinize before we really take any material from the platform. And we must have our own integrity and feel responsible when we want to share our findings, because as I said, since it could actually reach out to a higher percentage of audience, I think if we share, if what we share is very beneficial, is very impactful, it's gonna make it's gonna make something, it's gonna lead to change. And of course, the issue of privacy, risk, copyright, and plagiarism, and this issue has been hugely debated at my faculty. Being law lecturers, we can't run away from thinking all the legal risks, and these legal risks are actually real, and it is worth for us to really take time to look into it and study and understand before we really embark and share ourselves share our findings in social media. And another one is lack of training, skill support. I think lack of training is one of the challenges here, and this relates to my way forward later. If we want to leverage social media, I think we really need proper training in order to maximize what we call e-professionalism, because we are all professionals. We don't want to share things that become virals and they are not fact-based. So what we want to share is things that could benefit mankind, that could lead to a good change, and because of that, I think training, particularly training that leads to e-professionalism, is very important. And perhaps ILD can actually take a lead on this, to provide training, proper training to all of us, to infuse or maximize and adopt social media in our research. And I think the last part of my sharing is some of the good practices, or I would say some of the things that we could adopt, in social media as means of sharing our research. One of the ways is to always understand specific platforms. Sometimes it's true that especially zaman-zaman sekarang ni kita redah, tapi when it comes to this thing, I think for us to redah, we really need to understand, the platforms, the architecture, how it works, what risks, in order for us to manage that risk, and we don't want peribahasa tu kan, dah terhantuk baru nak tergadah, because that this relates to our reputation and our professionalism. And because of this, I think we need to work together. Corporate comm of UiTM, now you are doing a fantastic job. Cik Zul, congratulations, you and your team. We have UiTM YouTube channel. So we need to work together with the experts, in this field, and we have Masscom that could also take a lead and provide training and input to ILD, and corporate comm can actually be on board. So I think if everybody works together, we can have what we call social media team management, and we can have our own in-house online engagement strategies for UiTM. It's not impossible. The ways and means and experts, and we have this expertise that we can actually leverage. And last but not least, of course, always remember the notion of e-professionalism. I think there's always risk, but talking about how we can make use of technology to benefit mankind, I think it's worth a try. It's worth an investment. If we know what we are doing, if we work together, I think we would be able to manage and reduce this risk. So I think before I stop my sharing, it's true that this pandemic is very painful. I very appreciate the input by all three professors before me. I think all of you have actually highlighted different strengths. It's very painful, but one thing I think I would like to highlight here is that is the very reason why we have to work together. We cannot work alone, because together we will be stronger. We are one big family of UiTM, we take care of each other. When Prof. Zul talk about work-life balance, it's very, very true. And we can only do that when we work together, and because, alone we will feel so hopeless, but when we are together, we will feel alive. And we need a very strong support by everybody in UiTM to have work-life balance. And when we are happy, like what Prof. Zul said, we can actually produce more research. And often, I've received, or when I have a discussion with my colleagues, we cannot run away from this stigma that, oh, okay, we don't know how to do research, we are quite new. Yes, all of us are new in this thing, and I think it's okay that we are not okay. It's okay that we don't know, because the very notion of research is that we do research when we don't know what we are doing. Research is what I'm doing when I don't know what I'm doing. And research means that you don't know, but you're willing to find out. We don't know, but we are willing to find out the answer. And that's research. And when we have that in our mind, I think inshallah, Allah will ease our way to get started, because the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So go for it now. The future is promised to no one. Remember that. We are not alone. We work together. Always remember, the difference between a successful person and others is not lack of strength or not a lack of knowledge, but rather a lack in will. So I stop there. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Back to you, Aisha.
Okay, thank you so much, PM Dr. Hartinian. A very, very fruitful insights in terms of how to balance out within social media platform and as an e-researcher nowadays. Okay, I like when you point out the point of view of push and engagement equals to blended researcher. Okay, and also we as a researcher, educator, professional lecturer, we can never work in silo. Okay, that is how we can boost our spirits to produce more research and to benefits towards societies. Okay, Alhamdulillah, we have completed the 2 sessions of our forum today. Thank you very much for all panelists. I believe all questions have been answered throughout this fruitful forum session. Okay, before we end our session, I would like to invite all panelists and also participants to put on your camera for a quick photo session.